cover, don't you want to grow? You got to keep protein high. You got to keep it really high for an extended period of time.
Bit higher than maintenance, it's going to mean that you're gaining weight.
So what is higher than maintenance, kid? What do you think is higher? Look how puffy he is. This is sarcoplasmic. You can tell it's sarcoplasmic because it doesn't show any muscularity there at all. He's actually got fat as well. He's hypertrophy. The fat cells have hypertrophy too a bit. But this is sarcoplasmic because I can see his abs. This is sarcoplasmic because puffy.
Which, you know, is exactly what you want as someone trying to build muscle. Another thing is
someone that's trying to build muscle. You can't build muscle because muscle's post-mitotic, but you can hypertrophy.
Patience. It takes a long time. I've been training over 3 years now in the gym.
Yeah, you wasted your time. It doesn't take patience and it doesn't take a long time. What happens is you need to stay in an anabolic growth state. Protein needs to outpace protein breakdown for an extended period of time. And you're not doing that because I've watched what you eat in your videos, and your lifting is it's no good. You're constantly coming into the gym lifting. It's less lifting and more hypertrophying by eating protein. Yeah.
And obviously,
in other words, you can lift once a week and then hypertrophy the rest of the week by protein synthesis outpacing protein breakdown. It cannot outpace it lifting in the gym. It's impossible. And you have some micro tears to your muscles. You'll lose them because they'll die. The macrophage will come out and remove the dead tissue, and then you have to replace it with new tissue. So you have to actually get smaller to get bigger. You actually get smaller to get bigger every time you come back to the gym, every week you come back. That's real, based on real hypertrophy. You're just exercising, getting puffy. You're an endurance athlete coming in now, so you're glycogen loading. We call that sarcoplasmic pump training.
To be bigger, but you know, it just takes a lot of time, and you just need to just keep going.
No, it doesn't. He just is imagining these things because he doesn't know. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He lacks the experience. That's why.
Stay consistent. It's also better to make slow progress that you can.
No, you don't make slow progress. The progress is fast, just like everything. Anything you've ever done in your life is rapid. Success is rapid in this world. It's very fast. You don't take 30 years to be successful at a business or something. It doesn't take 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. To be successful can happen in 1 year. If you ask successful people how fast they got successful, it happened within a year.
Maintain.
It doesn't happen in 20 years or 30 years. It'll never happen. If it didn't happen in a year, it's never going to happen. It's really simple. If you never really built any muscle in that year, when you're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to be doing, then you'll never build it in 30 years lifting.
Than just rushing it and like messing everything up. And also, this is one of the most important things, is sleep and recovery. You want to be having a good sleep. I like to know have 8 to 10 hours every single night, and you want to be having good recovery.
Yeah, sleep is good. That's when you grow. That's when you repair, grow, remodel, whatever, a bunch of stuff, yeah.
I also have an ice bath every single morning.
Yeah, that's all you want to do is ice bath yourself, so you can cease growth from happening. It's a known fact. If you keep going in these ice baths, you're preventing your muscles from growing.
Which I use for recovery.
I mean hypertrophying. Muscles, they don't grow, they're post-mitotic. Hypertrophying. You're preventing them from hypertrophying. They're atrophying now.
Absolutely love it. I think it's absolutely amazing and definitely worth a try. But yeah, hope you learned something from this video, and I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, I learned exactly what not to do. Eat peasant slave food diets, right? Not exercise every day, lift a heavy weight, not do any of these things. Eat protein synthesis, needs to outpace protein breakdown for an extended period of time, and less is more. Less working out and more eating to hypertrophy, because hypertrophy is based on eating, not lifting. See you in the next one, friends. So think about that, like, subscribe, support the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, man.
I feel very Shakespearean right now. Oh, when will PC return to normal? Fun fact, this was one of my more recent prints on the Bamboo Labs HD2, and I printed a pretty sick Lilith statue. I almost said Lilith bust, but that would have been very, never mind. Anyway, moving on. That's not what this video is about. This video is about going into 2026, and right now is a terrible time to try and build a PC, I guess, just because of RAM and storage prices. Graphics cards are currently at MSRP, except for the 5090, but that's probably going to change considering NVIDIA is rumored to be pulling back production by up to 40% going through 2026. I don't think that's that abnormal. We've actually reported on NVIDIA reducing production as things normalize in the market. That is to kind of be expected because they were supposedly ramping up as fast as they could through 2025 to try and meet demand. And once they meet demand, if they keep doing that, they're going to have a surplus. So this is just normal business, but I digress. Today we're gonna actually give you guys some tips and advice to make your PC faster, more responsive, and just last a little longer without costing you a single solitary penny. Or whatever the smallest currency is where you live. I guess technically our penny's kind of obsolete now too, but wow, I'm on a tangent. Moving on, let's go ahead and talk about some important things. We're gonna start from very beginner, which some of you will be like, oh my gosh, Jay. But there's a lot of beginners watching, and especially right now after Christmas time, there's probably a lot of new people to the space. Either they got some hand-me-downs, or they bought something new, or they just ran out to try and get what they could before everything's completely lit on fire across the industry. So, first things first, let's go ahead and talk about startup items. If you've been running a PC for a while and it starts to feel slower and slower over time, guess what? With the exception of overheating, your computer has not gotten slower over time, your operating system's gotten heavier and heavier. So if you're on Windows 11, hit the Windows button and just type Startup Apps, and it will bring you to a page that will show you everything that is gonna load up automatically when you start Windows, and you can just toggle off the stuff that's not important. Fun fact, almost all of it is not important, because every program you install these days, whether they be game launchers or like Adobe or heck, OBS, any of the Elgato apps, they all want to start when you start Windows. Every single one of those apps that are open are gonna extend your startup time before all of those apps have been loaded into memory, and it's gonna start eating up your system memory. And if you're finding yourself in a position where you don't feel like you have enough, the last thing you want is all of those apps loaded into memory. Now, if you're running Windows 10, it might be a little bit different than currently on Windows 11 where you just type startup, but just do a quick search for Windows 10 startup apps and you can find the same way to disable those things that are not important. But you don't want to eat up your memory, and you don't want to extend your boot time into Windows because it's having to load 50 million different RGB apps and monitoring apps and overclocking utilities and game launchers. That's just gonna slow down your system as a whole. Now this kind of brings us into our next utility, which I feel every system should have, and that's Revo Uninstaller. Not a sponsor, it is completely freaking free. There is nothing behind a paywall behind it that's important to you guys. In fact, you can even uninstall different built-in features into Windows 11 that maybe you don't want anymore. Copilot and stuff like that, but Revo Uninstaller will also remove all traces of programs that you've uninstalled. When you uninstall a program, most programs built for Windows want to leave a lot of registry files and other things in place so that if you ever reinstall the program, it kind of picks up where it left off. Now that's different than just having user profiles, because more often than not, these programs that have user profiles, when you uninstall them, will say, do you want to keep the user profile in case you install later? And you can say yes or no, but they always leave traces of programs behind, and having a very cluttered registry can also lead to other quirks, other slowdowns, and other memory utilization in Windows that is just going to be completely counterintuitive if you're trying to extend the lifespan of your PC because it's already feeling slow or obsolete. So download Revo Uninstaller. We have a great tutorial on how to use it. Every PC should have it. Every PC I have has it. Even my kids' PCs have it because I have to go and uninstall all the stupid add-ons and browser extensions and all this other crap that my kids say yes to anytime they download something. And it just makes it a lot easier to not have to go hunting for any of that stuff. Bonus content right now. I was recently removing a lot of stuff from this system right here, which has had a lot of different iterations of Windows installs and utilities put on there because it's one of our older test benches, which is now just used for like temperature and power testing these days. I found a program or a company that actually removes everything when you say uninstall. Unfortunately, they also uninstalled themselves from the industry. It was EVGA. Now this one's probably a no-brainer for many of you, but a lot of people still don't know this. If you just install your memory into your system and you do nothing else, your memory is running at its slowest JDEC speeds. So it doesn't matter if you're running DDR4, if you're running DDR5, if you do not go into BIOS and enable either your XMP profile for Intel-based systems or Expo profiles for AM5 systems or DOCP profiles for AM4-based systems, then your RAM is not running at its advertised speed, which meant not only are you not getting the most out of your system, you also got the most expenditure for no return because you could have saved a lot of money by buying a base set of RAM rather than something you just weren't going to turn on anyway. Now, fun fact here, just because those speeds are listed to be either Expo, XMP, or dual compatibility doesn't mean your system is going to automatically be able to run at those speeds. It is considered an overclock, and it's an overclock specifically of the memory controller for your CPU. So my best advice would be before you even go enabling XMP or Expo, go into your BIOS and just save whatever your current settings are as a user profile. Basically, it gets you back to exactly where you started. If you have to reset your BIOS or clear your CMOS, and if you have any custom fan profiles or anything built into your BIOS, those will all be lost if you do optimize defaults and use a reset. So save your profile, go into your BIOS, and then enable either XMP or Expo. It'll be the one that's most appropriate for your system. It's the one that will show up. And then see if it works. If it does, great. Run some stress tests, run some games. Just do your normal activities and see if you start getting weird blue screens or crashes. Don't do anything important. Try not to be doing important work or something that you could lose if your system does a random restart or a blue screen and you don't have autosave or anything like that enabled for your program or your work apps. So do it when you're doing tasks that are not that important to you. If everything seems stable, then you're good to go. If things seem to be unstable, then you can go into your RAM settings, and then you can actually just slowly reduce the overall speed or the mega transfers of your RAM, maybe one click at a time, until you find max stability. I wouldn't go playing with voltages or anything like that, especially if you're a beginner. But we've talked about this for the last 13 years, and people still don't know that the RAM that is on the box, the speed on the box is not the out-of-the-box speed. It's technically an overclock. And it actually caused a lot of debates because Intel for the longest time, and AMD as well, considered it a void of warranty if you enabled your XMP or Expo profile. That's a little different today, but things have changed. Now going back into Windows, it's important that you have the right power profile set. Specifically if you are running a dual CCD X3D CPU from AMD. That would be the 7950 X3D and the 9950 X3D, or the 7900 X3D, or the 9900 X3D. Both of those are dual CCD CPUs that have a cache CCD and a frequency CCD. The cache CCD is what you want your games being loaded on, but the cache CCD always runs at a lower clock frequency than the clock or the frequency CCD. And that's by design. There's nuances and architectural reasons why that has to be. But if you go into Windows and you set maximum performance or high performance in the power profile, it will automatically override, the scheduler will override the CCD scheduler from AMD's chipset, and we'll put all tasks on the frequency CCD because that's what you said. You said go high performance. And now high performance in Windows' mind means whatever has the highest clock speeds, but we know when it comes to games and X3Ds, that's not the case. So it's important to leave that setting on balanced. Balanced will basically let the CCD or the X3D CCD scheduler built into the AMD chipset to do the work. So make sure you're not going in there and manually setting it to high performance, because that's an old school way of thinking. Schedulers are very different these days. We have asynchronous CPUs now. It's actually doing you a disservice if you're running a multiple CCD X3D CPU and putting it into high performance mode. I kind of wish the chipset could just override that, or would, like back in the day where you used to say AMD profiles, and it would be a little bit more clear. But I tested it with my own system even prior to making this video because I'm running a 9950 X3D at home. If I say high performance, it puts my games on the frequency CCD and not the X3D CCD, which is counterintuitive to what you want. So just leave it on balance. Not only that, for most people running day-to-day systems, there's no reason to run it on high performance. What it's going to do is it's going to keep your C states in a higher state so that your CPU is running at more frequency at all times. It's not going to clock down nearly as much. It's going to generate more heat. It's going to generate more power draw. And you're really not going to see any benefit from that, because when you load your games or your profiles anyway, when they need the CPU to clock up, they're going to do it. That's the whole point of C states. So when you kind of disable those C states and then just run everything full tilt, you're not gaining anything, but you're losing efficiency and you're making more heat for no reason whatsoever. Let's just say now you're trying to get as much out of your system and you're trying to just hold off as long as you can from going and buying a new GPU. Now I'll say this, I've gotten in trouble in the past by saying it's probably the best time to buy a GPU right now. I've said that in the past. I think right now is not necessarily the best time because prices suck overall. But compared to what the 50 series and the AMD 99 or 9070 XTs and 9070s launched at, the prices are probably as low as they're going to get before they get worse again, because of what I said at the start of this video about production being slowed down from both AMD and NVIDIA because of demand being met. So prices could start trending upward again. So I think it's important to put on some sort of price tracker or use PC part picker or something to see whether or not you're comfortable with where prices currently are. They've come down and they've sort of plateaued again. But if you're looking to buy a new GPU and you just can't afford it, something like MSI Afterburner or any sort of third-party GPU overclock utility can get you a lot more performance without you having to do anything that requires any sort of knowledge or thinking regarding overclocking. Easiest thing to do usually would just be max out your power limit. Now that's very much true for NVIDIA graphics cards. AMD, now we're talking about undervolting and weird things. AMD's always had kind of strange nuances. But if you download the Adrenaline driver, you can go in there and enable things like rage mode and other things to get a little bit better performance out of your GPU because of some auto tuning that's built in. But maxing out your power limit, and more importantly, maxing out your fan curve or trading acoustics for cooling can get you a little better performance because of the fact that the GPUs scale heavily with temperature. Unlike CPUs, which will go full speed as long as they're not over their power limit and they haven't hit the TJ max, they will run full speed up until they hit 1 degree above TJ max, then they'll start clocking. Whereas GPUs, on the other hand, have an entire sliding curve. So as the temperature goes up, even just a few degrees at a time, you'll start seeing boost bins change based on temperature. It's very much by design. Every GPU runs overclocked out of the box these days. Every GPU, whether it's a base model, MSRP model, or a custom matrix like you see on the desk right here, all are overclocked out of the box. You might be going, well, wait a minute, that it doesn't say overclocked on the box. It's just a basic MSRP. That's because NVIDIA GPUs all use what's called GPU boost. And this has been around since like 2012, 2011, where if there's power limit available and there's temperature limit available and there's voltage available, push the clocks until one of those perf cap reasons or performance cap reasons are met. Usually the number one reason a performance limit is met is voltage, but 50 series is different. They love voltage and they can go very high on voltage. It's usually power limit that they hit first, regardless of whether it's a lower end card or a higher end card. So by maxing out the power slider, if you have available limit to it, and allowing your fans to run faster will offset the extra heat you can generate by allowing it to pull more power, which will give you more steady clocks. Now, steady clock means you hit your max boost. It said 2300 megahertz is the base clock for NVIDIA, but guess what? We can run at 2600 megahertz because of the fact that those three criterias haven't been maxed out yet. So by allowing your fan to run higher means you can keep it cooler, which means you take the temperature perf cap reason more or less out of the equation. Then what you can start doing too, if you want to start playing around the frequency or the core overclocks, maybe 25 at a time, plus 25 at a time. So start with 25 and then 50 and then 75 and 100. And once again, play around until you find instabilities. The colder you can keep the card, the more stable it will be. There is an absolute logarithmic scale there when it comes specifically to temperature and stability. That's why the colder we can get the card with like XOC stuff, the farther we can push the frequencies even without touching voltage. So I think it's one of those things where if you're trying to max out your system, it might be time to say, well, I'll just turn my headphones louder and let the thing sound like a hairdryer to keep it running as fast as it possibly can, because the only way you can make up for your graphics card not getting the job done as well as you want is to make it run faster. You can do the same thing for your CPU, but like I said, CPUs will run full speed until they hit their TJ max. They don't have a curve based into it. The only time you'll see frequencies sort of fluctuate is based on what the task is requiring of the CPU. The CPU doesn't necessarily want to go all the way up to 5.8 gigahertz if it's not something that's fully loading the CPU. But if you're doing something that is fully loading the CPU, let's say you're rendering 3D modeling or something like that, they'll go full speed until, let's say your TJ max is 105, until you hit 105, and then it will start to boost down. So you can make the CPU run cooler if you want by running your fans higher, The real benefit of doing that is more longevity over potential degradation over time. Now, CPUs are actually designed to run at their max speeds for their rated life expectancy. Now, it just makes us uncomfortable to see red numbers and knowing that we're basically running our CPU at the red line if it were an RPM gauge at all times, but it's rated for that. It doesn't mean you have to do it that way. CPU coolers these days are so good, there's no reason you should be running at redline. Which brings me to my next point. If you're starting to see hotter than normal temperatures, it's probably time to repaste your CPU cooler. If you feel like your CPU's been slowing down and your system's just becoming a little bit less responsive, you can always download a free utility like Hardware Info, or heck, even MSI Afterburner will show you CPU temperatures. And if you start to see those temperatures getting really high up into the 90s or anywhere near 100, your CPU's probably gonna start spiking down the frequency really quick to save itself from going too hot. Because if you go past TJ max or thermal junction max, then damage can occur if you stay there for too long. So if you've noticed that your CPU is doing that, and say you've got a nice AIO or you've got a really nice air cooler and you're like, this doesn't make sense, it's more than likely time for you to repaste your cooler. Paste is not a set and forget and you never have to worry about it again. Paste is designed to not dry out as bad as it used to back in the day, but we're talking about systems that are 5, 6, 10 years old. Depending on where you live, let's say you live in a very dry desert, you'd be surprised how dry that paste can actually get. And it looks like a dry lake bed when you take it apart. You can see all the expansion and contraction that's taken place over time. And a lot of thermal paste these days are actually a little bit of a phase change, where the colder they are, the thicker they are, and then the hotter they get, the thinner they get, because they want it to constantly evolve and fill in all the voids and cracks as temperature fluctuations happen over time. But eventually, it can dry out or create big cracks in areas that you're not actually getting optimal cooling. Thermal paste is cheap, and you'd be surprised how much performance you're losing if you don't have a proper thermal paste application or your thermal paste application has expired. So consider doing that. The best way to determine if your system's overheating, especially if you haven't applied an overclock, download Hardware Info 64, go to your CPU package tab or look at your core package, your core drop down and look at the temperatures. And if it's getting in a temperature that's too hot, the numbers will turn red because it knows what your CPU is and it knows what the thermal junction max is, and it will tell you red numbers, these are not okay. Then you know it's time to change your thermal paste. Now, SSDs don't like to be full. SSDs require a certain amount of the drive to be available for caching. If your drive is full and your drive is showing red when you go to your This PC, it's time to download Revo Uninstaller and start uninstalling the crap on your system that you don't need, because the more full your drive gets, above 90%, the slower the drive is going to be. Now, obviously a 90% full 4 terabyte drive and a 90% full 1 terabyte drive are different numbers, but it's not about the actual amount of data that's on your drive, it's how much percentage of the drive is being utilized. So you can find all kinds of information, all kinds of deep dives into this topic if you want to learn more about that. But the worst thing you could possibly do is fill up your SSD. Now, SSD prices really sort of suck right now because they are coming out of the same factories and such as RAM, and they use many of the same components. And so SSDs are also something that's being bought up and hoovered up as fast as you can for these data centers that are building out these AI data farms, because they need storage as well. So if you can get yourself another drive, if you have one that's full and you are going, man, this is all I've got. I've got my games on here. I can't take anything off. My drive is full. I have outgrown my drive. You have a couple of options. If you've got a lot of movies, or you've got a lot of images, or you've got a lot of audio files or whatever, it's maybe time to get yourself a cheap external drive or something to offload that stuff onto to get your SSD back into a safe percentage of availability. I try not to ever let my drives go more than 80% full, just for that reason I just described. It's also not unfeasible to get yourself like an older Gen 3 M.2 or something, because you don't need to have crazy fast storage. It is kind of like one of the biggest lies we've ever been told is that you've got to have Gen 5, 14,000 megabytes per second read and 13,000 megabytes per second write. That's all cool and all, but guess what? That only really shows its amazingness if you're moving really big files in some sort of a disk benchmark utility. Beyond that, when it comes to normal day-to-day usage, I don't think I could have a single person use a Gen 3 system, a Gen 4 system, and a Gen 5 system that are identical and be able to really tell the difference on which one is on which. Because Gen 3 is still 3,500 megabytes per second. That is significantly faster than 2.5-inch SSDs, which capped out at about 550 megabytes per second. So if you're still on like a 2.5-inch SSD on a SATA connector, you are capped out at about 550 megabytes per second in the best case scenario. You're probably doing and moving around small files and loading up programs anywhere between the 250 to 300 megabytes per second range. To jump from that to a Gen 3 SSD, 3,500 megabytes per second is nearly 6 times the speed. Gen 4's cap at about 7,500 megabytes per second, and then Gen 5 caps out at about 14,500. You can see there's like a doubling, right? There's like a factor of 2 every time we go up, but it's not going to matter for most people unless you're constantly moving around big files, because when you're loading games and you're doing random tasks in Windows, you're moving around small files. You know, you could download something like Crystal Disk Mark or whatever if you're really curious as to how fast your drive is. But I'm telling you right now, it's one of those great lies of the PC industry, is that we just have to max out these specs, just like thinking you have to have, 32 gigs or more of system RAM, otherwise it's obsolete these days. Same thing with storage. Capacity for general consumers is king over speed, especially if we're talking about anything Gen 3 or newer when it comes to an M.2. Now, if you're running like an old M SATA or something like that, it might be time to upgrade. But my recommendation here is, like I started to say a moment ago, if your drive is full and you're just like, man, I got nothing I can move this stuff onto, this is it, maybe try and find yourself a gently used Gen 3 or something from someone. I mean, most people try not to sell their drives because you can always, the data security being a thing, obviously, you would have to do a very low-level format to get rid of, and use a special utility to truly get rid of all the data on the drive. But if you are able to find an inexpensive Gen 3 somewhere, or heck, even if you can find a 2.5-inch SSD that you can throw into your system, a 500 gig or a 1 terabyte, to throw all of those random files and you're hanging on to that are not that important, to just let them sit there as long-term storage solution, but keep your M.2 more available without running it into a cache issue. Any of those scenarios are better than just letting the drive sit there full. So those are just some of the things I think you can do right now that cost you nothing. If you have a really old system you just haven't touched, and you go through each one of these points I just mentioned, I bet you could get a significant improvement in your system. The number one thing though, of all of this that I mentioned today, that I can guarantee is affecting older systems, is going to be those startup items and the amount of things getting loaded into memory on systems that are maybe a little bit lacking on the amount of memory that they have. And just freeing that up alone will make the responsiveness and snappiness of your system come back. And it can buy you some more time for, really this feels like the end of the world, not really the end of the world, but like the movie with Seth Rogen, End of the World, but for PC. We just went to the liquor store, we got ourselves something to eat, and then suddenly the rapture just happened. Which makes this perfectly. I'm getting better at the 3D print stuff, and this is a skull from Diablo 4, and I'm gonna do some painting and stuff on there. I'm kind of trying to get better at making sure that the prints are set up properly, because I do want to start utilizing them for some case mods. I think it could be really fun and exciting. All right, guys, what are your best suggestions for people with older systems that are trying to just extend their lifespan before spending money to get the most out of it that wouldn't cost anything? I mean, we could all say, go buy more RAM, go buy a faster GPU, go buy a faster CPU. But you know what? If you have no budget, none of those are real suggestions, are they? We'll do another video soon about when the right time to upgrade is now when it comes to end of life on certain older Intel and AMD systems, and rumors of new stuff coming. We'll try and talk about that perfect potential sweet spot of when it's time to upgrade, but this is about free. All right, guys, put your best suggestions down below. Maybe we'll pin the best one. See you guys in the next one.
This is a network toning and tracing tool that I've had for 25 years or so. The way it works is you turn it on with one of the wires inside attached to something that you're trying to trace out, and then this receiver here, you hold this button and you get a response. So what we're going to do is get the Ethernet that unfortunately is sort of broken, and we're going to plug it in down here, which I've already taken this off the wall and verified that that orange jack right there does have proper Cat 5 wired up correctly. We'll just plug this in and hope it doesn't fall. And then, and where is it? Because I found this wiring up in the ceiling in this place, and I wonder where it could be. Let's find out. Is it in this ceiling? At all? Anywhere? It's not here, guys. It's not here, so I know that all these wires are wasting my time. I'm in this office. There's Ethernet over there. There's Ethernet in that room over there. And they didn't tone out. There's a whole closet full of stuff back there. But none of it toned out. And I'm like, well, those wires have to go somewhere. Did a little jiggling. What? What is going on here? And guess what? Guess what I found? There's a note from someone from 15 years ago about Vonage. Oh my gosh. At computer switch. Where's the computer switch? I don't even know, but I bet it's over there somewhere. Oh my.
Star Wars is notorious for its countless wars throughout its history. During the Old Republic,
SmackDown used to be a place where we came to get entertained every week. It used to be a place where we see wrestlers like The Rock, Eddie Guerrero, Edge, Kurt Angle, and many more. It used to be a place of surprises where storylines develop. I used to see stars being made. Now the only stars I'm seeing are the ones from slapping myself in the face every Friday night. I decided to sit through this crap and put all of that. I apologize, I'm sorry. I won't criticize you anymore, just please, make it stop. Make it stop, cancel this show, and put me out my misery. You literally have a better chance of going outside, standing in the middle of the street, staring at asphalt, waiting for grass to grow, than you do expecting a good episode of Crackdown. And I call it Crackdown because you gotta be down with smoking crack to think this is a good show. Now, before we get on to the train wreck that they like to call SmackDown. Man, it seems like lazy attitude has been contagious in the WWE. First you got Triple H falling asleep every single week in the gorilla position. Then you got the pyro guy. Last week, fell asleep during Cody Rhodes' entrance. Now this week, you got the merchandise staff. I would rather be caught shirtless for the rest of my life before I get caught wearing this. John Cena has only a few matches left and he's gone forever. This is the merchandise that you dropped for him. You were supposed to drop this at the worst heel turn of all time. Wouldn't that make sense? Wouldn't that have logic? Logic and WWE goes together like oil and water, socks and flip-flops, a vegan eating a steak for dinner. This ad is brought to you by Paula. Shout out to everybody who hit me up, tapped in, got their early Paula Vet t-shirts, but now we got the website, BobbyMonsoon.com. You can hit the website up, get your t-shirt, but act fast. It's a limited stock only, BobbyMonsoon.com. I salute the fans for the support, thank you. Without it, we'll be something like TKO, $3 billion in debt. Oh my God, do y'all remember the bum line? We haven't seen him in a few weeks. If y'all forgot who the members were, it was Solo Sonoa, Bachelor, Jeff Cobb, Hakuna Matata. And man, Solo Sikoa and the bum line been doing his vignettes. Now he has the newest one. Oh, I think I figured it out. We're missing another member. No, you're not!
But there's something missing. There's something missing for this family to be complete.
You haven't got anyone in your faction over, not even a little bit. Jeff Cobb has came to WWE and did absolutely nothing. Bachelor has came to WWE and did absolutely nothing. Hakuna Matata! The same thing. The person that should have never left Solo Sikoa was Jacob Fatu. I said this before. Jacob Fatu was better being with Solo Sikoa, being an enforcer, rather than them splitting up and them having a meaningless match that they made us wait months for. My God, who is booking this crap? Where is the logic at? Where is the creativity? It is non-existent in every WWE storyline right now. There isn't one storyline that I'm even a little bit excited for. Now, SmackDown started off with, of course, another promo. Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton. I almost called him Candy Orton because they've been booking him sweet as candy. What happened to the old Viper? What happened to the Apex Predator? Randy Orton, RKO out of nowhere. Ever since he came back, Randy Orton has been booked like a complete jobber. You know WWE is in trouble when the biggest thing Randy Orton have done in 2025 was have a tag match with Jelly Roll. This is embarrassing, seriously, dog. What is up with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed keep coming on SmackDown? This shows you the lack of depth in the SmackDown roster. Literally, the SmackDown roster is completely non-existent. They're literally pulling from NXT. They got the Speed Champion, Speed's on X. They're pulling from, of course, Monday Night Raw. The booking is called COC, a concoction of crap. Paul Heyman said some crap like, if we beat Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton's gonna be looking at Cody Rhodes for who cares? They've been trying to plant this stupid seed that Randy Orton is gonna have a problem with Cody Rhodes. He's always staring at Cody's belt. It comes out to absolutely nothing. We don't want to see Candy Orton and Cody Rhodes. We don't want to see it. There's no passion. There's no type of oomph in this storyline. There's no emotion in this storyline. Long-term booking, not long-term, long-term. This is no excuse. I don't want to hear the booking is great just because he's stretching it out 6 to 8 to 10 months. Sometimes there's absolutely no payoff. And they're wondering why Bobby Monsoon, why you're on YouTube so mad. There's no payoff to anything. I'm investing my time watching something and I'm getting absolutely nothing out of it. We all know how it is. We go to our job, we bust our ass, we do what we gotta do, we clock out, the check comes, and you see a zero. Will you be happy? If you didn't get a payoff at your job, I wouldn't either. So why would I be happy when I'm investing to these storylines? I'm like, okay, I'm watching. I'm trying to be a WWE fan, but I can't. Next, you got the U.S. Open Challenge, which is, I'm sure, Lazy Lelec's favorite storyline, where you can just pull everything out of thin air. You have to put no effort into actually putting a story together. It's supposed to be Carmelo Hayes versus Sami Zayn again. Carmelo Hayes cutting a promo out of nowhere. The Miz returns, gives him a receipt for costing him the match. Alistair Whack comes out, doesn't even put his music on. I kind of like Alistair Black theme music, but he comes out, doesn't even bother to put his music on. Just comes out, cuts a promo, oh, I'll accept the challenge. Now you got Sami Zayn, Alistair Whack, and it's like, we all knew that there was no way Alistair Black was gonna beat Sami Zayn, you know what I mean? Sami Zayn goes over again. He hawks up, oh, haluva kick, 1, 2, 3. And he didn't even win straight up. Actually, now I'm remembering, Damian Priest actually came out. Then he did the razor edge on Alistair Black on the commentary table. Who cares? Like, this is the dumbest storyline. Damian Priest goes in the back, oh, we're doing a last man standing match, me and Alistair. No one's invested in this storyline. I haven't heard one person I discuss with wrestling that brought up, oh man, what do you think about Alistair Black and Damian Priest? Next you got Sol Ruka, Lazaria, whatever their name is, from NXT versus Chelsea Green, Alba Fire. And for me personally, this was probably the most disappointing thing of the night. I expect everything else to be horrible, to be lackluster, to have no type of effort being put in creatively. But man, when I sit back and I see Chelsea Green, y'all hear me complain about this every week. Chelsea Green had the U.S. Women's title, the first inaugural U.S. Women's Champion. Y'all, she was doing so good with the title. You took it off her. Zelina Vega got it, done nothing with it. Julia has it, doing nothing with it. Chelsea Green was putting the title over. You took the title off her. Now, you mean to tell me Chelsea Green can't even beat a tag team that's on NXT? How do you expect for Chelsea Green to ever get over? I could see her losing to Charlotte, Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton, all the other people she's going to be losing to. But NXT stars, and you want us to take Chelsea Green serious? Then you got Tiffany Stratton, Stephanie Valkyrie, and I'm not gonna lie, man, you gotta give these women props, seriously. They actually put on the worst contract signing in SmackDown, Raw, professional wrestling history. I'm sorry, dog. It's like no emotion in this contract signing. We usually seeing beef in contract signing. Somebody get put through the table, somebody getting beat up. What do we get? A random appearance from Julia, Kiana James. Kiana James offering Stephanie Valkyrie to be a part of her management team. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I hate how this was booked, but I think it's a good idea. Stephanie Valkyrie, she's trying to get her English together. Kiana James is great on the mic. Kiana James could really help Stephanie Valkyrie as far as putting her over. Kiana James being with Stephanie Valkyrie isn't a bad idea. Just the booking was horrible, dog. And you only do this to set up a match, a tag team match. Stephanie Valkyrie, Tiffany Stratton, Kiana James, and Julia. For what? Stephanie Valkyrie, Tiffany Stratton are supposed to be fighting at Crown Fools for what? Nothing! And that's obvious. That's why they're going to be tag team partners the night before. Because the night after, it doesn't matter! Now the last match, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, man. It's just, this match ended so bad, dog. Paul Heyman, he gets on the apron, he's trying to distract the referee. Seth Rollins, another Raw superstar, comes out. He comes to stomp Randy Orton's head through the mat. That allows Bronson Reed to do the tsunami. 1, 2, 3, yeah! Candy Orton gets buried. They're trying to build a story Seth Rollins, he's acting crazy. He's letting Cody Rhodes get in his head. Paul Heyman is saying, no, don't do it, don't do it. Seth Rollins runs into the ring, tries to curb stomp Cody Rhodes. He reverses, gets hit with the crossroads, and now SmackDown ends. Bro, if you attended this show, I sincerely apologize. It's not even my fault, but I just feel bad. People are really paying for this crap. There is no excuse for the lackluster booking, the lack of entertainment, the lack of logic in WWE right now. I highly doubt. I know I make jokes, Triple H, Lazy Levesque, and Sleeping Gorilla, but honestly, I highly doubt he's at any of these shows. There is like no way, bro. It's no way. It's no way. You could be in the back of Gorilla watching this and thinking any of this is entertaining. SmackDown is by far the worst piece of crap on TV, and you want us to pay $30 a month for Crown Fools? I think not. I think I'll be watching Pirates of the Caribbean! October 11th! And not Crown Fools. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about that. Seriously, like, it's starting to not even be funny anymore. Like, WWE and TKO is trolling us, dog. You see that John Cena merch? How hard is it to think of any type of design and put it on a shirt, dog? Seriously. Like, what is the sense of any of this booking that's going on, dog? Who asked for Aleister Black, Damian Priest? Who asked for a tag match, Stephanie Valkyrie, Tiffany Stratton, and Julia and Kiana? Dog, none of this makes sense. And it's a spit in the face to everybody that actually invest their time watching the TV, buy merch, show up to the shows. They're giving a big F you to any fan that just rolled with WWE all these years, dog. It is embarrassing to tell people that you watch wrestling. Remember when The Rock said, oh, wrestling's cool again? No, it's not! I tell people I watch wrestling, people laugh at me. It's embarrassing to be on YouTube admitting you're a grown man watching this crap. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Oh, on top of that, I'm sorry, AEW fans, but I got some bad news. I'm pissed off about it too, man, because, man, they're saying that last AEW Dynamite, that 6-year anniversary show, dog, people are saying that the views decreased like 100 or 200,000. Like, why? If AEW dies, bro, oh my God, y'all don't understand the level of, it's going to go to a whole new level with WWE. That's why WWE doesn't feel like they have to even try anymore. They don't even care. They're not looking at AEW as actual competition, even though it is, even though I think AEW is doing good, man. I'm enjoying some stuff they got going on. It's not perfect, but I am enjoying AEW way more than WWE. But I'm telling you right now, if Tony Khan doesn't figure out how to start bringing in more casual fans, it is going to look bad. I like what the AEW's doing. I'm going to enjoy Wrestle Dream. I'm going to keep going to AEW shows, supporting AEW. I'm a part of the Don Callis family. I'm telling you, dog, Tony Khan has to figure this out. There is no excuse for the 6-year anniversary to have a decrease in viewership. I don't care what nobody say. I don't want to hear about HBO Max until you're transparent about the viewership on there. All we gotta go by is the viewership that's actually going on at AEW, and we're seeing a decrease on one of their biggest shows. That was a good show. It deserved more than what it got, if you ask me. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. It's Bobby Monsoon, 215. Like, comment, subscribe. Blah! SmackDown used to be a place where we came to get entertained every week. It used to be a place where we see wrestlers like The Rock, Eddie Guerrero, Edge, Kurt Angle, and many more. It used to be a place of surprises where storylines develop. I used to see stars being made. Now the only stars I'm seeing are the ones from slapping myself in the face every Friday night. I decided to sit through this crap and pile of that. I apologize, I'm sorry. I won't criticize you anymore, just please, make it stop. Make it stop, cancel this show, and put me out my misery. You literally have a better chance of going outside, standing in the middle of the street, staring at asphalt, waiting for grass to grow, than you do expecting a good episode of Crackdown. And I call it Crackdown because you gotta be down with smoking crack to think this is a good show. Now, before we get on to the train wreck that they like to call SmackDown, man, it seems like Lazy Levesque attitude has been contagious in the WWE. First, you got Triple H falling asleep every single week in the gorilla position. Then you got the pyro guy. Last week, fell asleep during Cody Rhodes' entrance. Now this week, you got the merchandise staff. I would rather be caught shirtless for the rest of my life before I get caught wearing this. John Cena has only a few matches left, then he's gone forever. This is the merchandise that you dropped for him. You were supposed to drop this at the worst heel turn of all time. Wouldn't that make sense? Wouldn't that have logic? Logic and WWE goes together like oil and water, socks and flip-flops, a vegan eating a steak for dinner. This ad is brought to you by Paula. Shout out to everybody who hit me up, tapped in, got their early Paula Vet t-shirts. But now we got the website, BobbyMonsoon.com. You can hit the website up, get your t-shirt, but act fast. It's a limited stock only. BobbyMonsoon.com. I salute the fans for the support. Thank you. Without it, we'll be something like TKO. $3 billion in debt. Oh my God, do y'all remember the bum line? We haven't seen him in a few weeks. If y'all forgot who the members were, it was Solo Sonoa, Bachelor, Jeff Cobb, Hakuna Matata. And man, Solo Sikoa and the bum line been doing his vignettes. Now he has the newest one. Oh, I think I figured it out. We're missing another member. No, you're not!
But there's something missing. There's something missing for this family to be complete.
You haven't got anyone in your faction over, not even a little bit. Jeff Cobb has came to WWE and did absolutely nothing. Bachelor has came to WWE and did absolutely nothing. Hakuna Matata! The same thing. The person that should have never left Solo Sikoa was Jacob Fatu. I said this before. Jacob Fatu was better being with Solo Sikoa, being an enforcer, rather than them splitting up and them having a meaningless match that they made us wait months for. My God, who is booking this crap? Where is the logic at? Where is the creativity? It is non-existent in every WWE storyline right now. There isn't one storyline that I'm even a little bit excited for. Now, SmackDown started off with, of course, another promo. Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Cody Rhodes, and Randy Orton. I almost called him Candy Orton because they've been booking him sweet as candy. What happened to the old Viper? What happened to the Apex Predator? Randy Orton, RKO out of nowhere. Ever since he came back, Randy Orton has been booked like a complete jobber. You know WWE is in trouble when the biggest thing Randy Orton have done in 2025 was have a tag match with Jelly Rolls. This is embarrassing, seriously, dog. What is up with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed keep coming on SmackDown? This shows you the lack of depth In the SmackDown roster, literally the SmackDown roster is completely non-existent. They're literally pulling from NXT. They got the Speed Champion, Speeds on X. They're pulling from, of course, Monday Night Raw. The booking is called COC, a concoction of crap. Paul Heyman said some crap like, if we beat Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton's gonna be looking at Cody Rhodes for who cares? They've been trying to plant this stupid seed that Randy Orton is gonna have a problem with Cody Rhodes. He's always staring at Cody's belt. It comes out to absolutely nothing. We don't want to see Candy Orton and Cody Rhodes. We don't want to see it. There's no passion. There's no type of oomph in this storyline. There's no emotion in this storyline. Long-term booking, not long-term, long-term. This is no excuse. I don't want to hear the booking is great just because he's stretching it out 6 to 8 to 10 months. Sometimes there's absolutely no payoff. And they're wondering why Bobby Bassoon, why you're on YouTube so mad. There's no payoff to anything. I'm investing my time watching something and I'm getting absolutely nothing out of it. We all know how it is. We go to our job, we bust our ass, we do what we gotta do. We clock out, the check comes, and you see a zero. Will you be happy? If you didn't get a payoff at your job, I wouldn't either. So why would I be happy when I'm investing to these storylines? I'm like, okay, I'm watching. I'm trying to be a WWE fan. But I can't. Next, you got the U.S. Open Challenge, which is, I'm sure, Lazy Lalette's favorite storyline. You can just pull everything out of thin air. You have to put no effort into actually putting a story together. It's supposed to be Carmelo Hayes versus Sami Zayn again. Carmelo Hayes cutting a promo out of nowhere. The Miz returns, gives him a receipt for costing him the match. Alistair Whack comes out, doesn't even put his music on. I kind of like Alistair Black theme music, but he comes out, doesn't even bother to put his music on. Just comes out, cuts a promo, oh, I'll accept the challenge. Now you got Sami Zayn, Alistair Whack, and it's like we all knew that there was no way Alistair Black was gonna beat Sami Zayn. You know what I mean? Sami Zayn goes over again. He hawks up, oh, haluva kick, 1, 2, 3. And he didn't even win straight up. Actually, now I'm remembering, Damian Priest actually came out. Then he did the razor edge on Alistair Black on the commentary table. Who cares? Like, this is the dumbest storyline. Damian Priest goes in the back, oh, we're doing the last man standing match, me and Alistair. No one's invested in this storyline. I haven't heard one person I discuss with wrestling that brought up, oh man, what do you think about Alistair Black and Damian Priest? Next you got Sol Ruka, Lazario, whatever their name is, from NXT versus Chelsea Green, Alba Fire. And for me personally, this was probably the most disappointing thing of the night. I expect everything else to be horrible, to be lackluster, to have no type of effort being put in creatively. But man, when I sit back and I see Chelsea Green, y'all hear me complain about this every week. Chelsea Green had the U.S. Women's title, the first inaugural U.S. Women's Champion. Y'all, she was doing so good with the title. You took it off her. Zelina Vega got it, done nothing with it. Julia has it, doing nothing with it. Chelsea Green was putting the title over. You took the title off her. Now, you mean to tell me Chelsea Green can't even beat a tag team that's on NXT? How do you expect for Chelsea Green to ever get over? I can see her losing to Charlotte, Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton, and all the other people she's going to be losing to. But NXT stars, and you want us to take Chelsea Green serious? Then you got Tiffany Stratton, Stephanie Valkyrie, and I'm not gonna lie, man, you gotta give these women props, seriously. They actually put on the worst contract signing in SmackDown, Raw, professional wrestling history. I'm sorry, dog. It's like no emotion in this contract signing. We usually seeing beef in contract signing. Somebody get put through the table, somebody getting beat up. What do we get? A random appearance from Julia, Kiana James offering Stephanie Valkyrie to be a part of her management team. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I hate how this was booked, But I think it's a good idea. Stephanie Valkyrie, she's trying to get her English together. Kiana James is great on the mic. Kiana James could really help Stephanie Valkyrie as far as putting her over. Kiana James being with Stephanie Valkyrie isn't a bad idea. Just the booking was horrible, dog. And you only do this to set up a match, a tag team match. Stephanie Valkyrie, Tiffany Stratton, Kiana James, and Julia. For what? Stephanie Valkyrie, Tiffany Stratton are supposed to be fighting at Crown Fools for what? Nothing! And that's obvious. That's why they're going to be tag team partners the night before. Because the night after, it doesn't matter! Now the last match, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes, man. It's just, this match ended so bad, dog. Paul Heyman, he gets on the apron, he's trying to distract the referee. Seth Rollins, another Raw superstar, comes out. He comes to stomp Randy Orton's head through the mat. That allows Bronson Reed to do the tsunami. 1, 2, 3, yeah! Candy Orton gets buried. They're trying to build a story. Seth Rollins, he's acting crazy. He's letting Cody Rhodes get in his head. Paul Heyman saying, no, don't do it, don't do it. Seth Rollins runs into the ring, tries to curb stomp Cody Rhodes. He reverses, gets hit with the crossroads, and now SmackDown ends. Bro, if you attended this show, I sincerely apologize. It's not even my fault, but I just feel bad. People are really paying for this crap! There is no excuse for the lackluster booking, the lack of entertainment, the lack of logic in WWE right now. I highly doubt. I know I make jokes, Triple H, Lazy Levesque, and Sleeping Gorilla, but honestly, I highly doubt he's at any of these shows. There is like no way, bro. It's no way. It's no way. You could be in the back of Gorilla watching this and thinking any of this is entertaining. SmackDown is by far the worst piece of crap on TV, and you want us to pay $30 a month for Crown Fools? I think not. I think I'll be watching Pirates of the Caribbean! October 11th! And not Crown Fools. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about that. Seriously, like, it's starting to not even be funny anymore. Like, WWE and TKO is trolling us, dog. You see that John Cena merch? How hard is it to think of any type of design and put it on a shirt, dog? Seriously. Like, what is the sense of any of this booking that's going on, dog? Who asked for Aleister Black, Damian Priest? Who asked for a tag match? Stephanie Valkyrie, Tiffany Stratton, Julia, and Kiana. Dog, none of this makes sense. And it's a spit in the face to everybody that actually invest their time watching the TV, buy merch, show up to the shows. They're giving a big F you to any fan that just rolled with WWE all these years, dog. It is embarrassing to tell people that you watch wrestling. Remember when The Rock said, oh, wrestling's cool again? No, it's not! I tell people I watch wrestling, people laugh at me. It's embarrassing to be on YouTube admitting you're a grown man watching this crap. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Oh, on top of that, I'm sorry, AEW fans, but I got some bad news. I'm pissed off about it too, man, because, man, they're saying that last AEW Dynamite, that 6-year anniversary show, dog, people are saying that the views decreased like 100 or 200,000. Like, why?
Someone asked me if I supported MGTOW. MGTOW stands for Men Going Their Own Way. And they said they don't support it because they just usually see men who are in that movement, so to speak, they basically just complaining about the male loneliness epidemic that I said does not actually exist. One other person said that the male loneliness epidemic does exist, but it's just because men don't make friends anymore, and men need to make friends. I think that both of these are not really correct. First of all, MGTOW, men going their own way, the whole point of it is men going their own way. The point of it is you do what you want. You're a man, and you don't tie your worth as a man to having a woman by your side. That's the whole point of MGTOW. The whole idea is, well, if women want to screw shit up for everybody else, if they really want to be jerks to us and tell us that we shouldn't hit on them unless we're Chad and blah blah blah, that's fine. I'll go build my cabin in the woods and be fine without you. Then all of a sudden, women show up going, oh, what about the male loneliness epidemic? Men are in crisis in this country. By the way, why can't I find a date? And why don't anybody hit on me no more? Gee, I wonder, Karen, why don't people hit on you anymore? It's because you've told them not to, and they're respecting you. In the end, MGTOW really is just about self-respect, and by extension, respecting what women tell you they want. They don't want you to actually hit on them or anything like that. However, they do want attention, especially unearned attention. They want lots of attention, but they also want the freedom to potentially put you in jail simply because it would feed their own ego. And until these conflicting rules are resolved, the safest solution is go your own way. That's where MGTOW is. Now, as far as male loneliness, I still think it's fake. Yes, men probably could use friends, but you know what? Older men especially, like me, yeah, we could use more friends. Friends are always good. Not having friends, not the healthiest condition to be in. At the same time, friends can be kind of dangerous. So it's a mixed bag. But it's not a male loneliness epidemic. What they mean when they say male loneliness epidemic is, haha, look at these men. They're pathetic because they don't tie their worth to a woman. They don't tie their worth to having a woman. Men are lonely, but what they're really saying is, I'm a woman, and I told men I don't want them to hit on me. Why aren't men hitting on me? Must be because there's a loneliness epidemic. Haha, they're just pathetic. And in the end of the day, it's female name-calling of men, and they're simps name-calling those same men in the hopes that they could totally use their beliefs to get some. So that's me on MGTOW.
Femininity was implied when you said woman. I think that's what it was. I think she just added a little bit of touch, a little bit of hair, and a little bit of leg, and just like, dang. Now, I can't speak for other men, but if I was in the market, right, that'd be one I'd be like, oh, dude, I got to ask her out. I got to ask her out. And already I'm in a better mood because it's like, look at that. Look at that. It's like sunshine to plants and flowers. So you girls are, your beauty is sunshine to men who are plants and flowers. I don't want to be your sunshine. Oh, you just like my sunshine, don't you? You could also be a feminist boomer and a Gen X spinster. Sure, you could be that. How dare the plants like sunshine? But if you just get just a little bit of a touch, I'll give you another one I like. Not again, this is all me. It could be wrong. Two accoutrements, now that I think about it. If you had a little bit of a choker, I think that I always liked chokers. Now, admittedly, there's a little bit of a sexual connotation with that, but I still like that. And the other thing, if you put a little bit of a bow in your hair, all these girls posing as dudes in public now with the fucking sweatpants and the Walmart going gear and like, hey, buddy, you're a chick. I'm sorry. I thought you were a dude. I'm sorry, with your short hair and you fucking dress like I'm working on a car. Hey, you want to work on a car? So, I'm sorry, you're a girl. I thought you were a dude looking for some, dirty manual labor. Oh, no, it's just Sunday to you, isn't it? The bar is so low. A simple ribbon in your hair, simply having long hair, simply looking like a girl, or a smart pair of heels would go very far to get a guy motivated to ask you out in public. Now, I've seen it go the other way. When I was over in the Summerlin, which is where all the rich people live on the west side, they got a Whole Foods there. So I went to the Whole Foods, not because I'm rich, because someone sent me to the Whole Foods. By the way, when you get to my world, everything has a title. That's why it's always the Whole Foods or the gym. I don't go to regular gyms or Whole Foods. I go to the Whole Foods. That's how snooty of a fucker I've become. I went to the Whole Foods, and there must have been a Russian gal or some Ukrainian gal looking for a sugar daddy. She was like a model, dolled up, like really fancy, and like that's too much. That's too much. You're going to intimidate the guys. They're not going to. I mean, the guy would look at like, man, look at that beautiful woman. Oh shit, there's no fucking way I'm going to talk to her. But if it's just a little thing, by the way, ladies, not a single fucking guy notices your purse. Not a single fucking one of us. I don't know. Stop it with the purse. Don't even think we're talking heels, hair, ribbon, maybe a choker. Okay. Something that goes on your body, not something you care. I don't give a shit about no guy gives a shit about your fucking purses. But yes, if you girls were interested in men, which you know, you don't need no. I've heard, yes, many of you, we've heard it. We understand. However, there are some younger women that might be interested in men and not living a life of being a prude feminist spinster bitch. Some women maybe want to meet a guy. I don't know. I know it's a minority of you, but that's a way. That's something you can do. And how long does it take to put a ribbon in your hair, put on a sensible, or not sensible, a sexy pair of heels, right? And they weren't even sexy. They were darling. They were pretty. They were classy. I was like, dang, look at that. I'm not going to wear heels for it. Then go be part of the baby boomer feminist spinster bitch club. Here you go. The feminist baby boomer spinster bitch club. Join. Go fucking not have sex. Go be miserable. Go hate Donald Trump. Whatever it is that brings you joy and purpose in me. Go do it. In the meantime, I think pretty is what you girls want to be aiming for there. All right, super chats. Lar, $2. They keep telling us they don't always pay. Yes, there's an entire book that we don't know. Women don't know you pretty. Yes, thank you. We should look that lady up who wrote that book and find out where she is. By the way, I read that book. It is an atrociously written book. I don't mean like I disagree with it. I mean, it's garbage. It is horrifically written. I also read Wenny Brenner, whatever her book. I read that. That's also dog shit. Yeah. Wow. Those books were out 5-6 years ago. Just so you younger girls know, you don't have to become a miserable 30-something woman. Okay. You can be a happy 30-something. I'm just saying. You don't have to hate men. It's an option. Did you know, Matt, to Canadian, did you ever lose pals over sports ball disregard? No. Neither because I've never lost a buddy because I might have been cheering for one team and they cheered for the other, nor have any of my few sports ball attending friends taken umbrage or offense to me saying, you're a bitch for wearing that man's jersey. Like, I get it. I know. I just like a game. And I understand. So there's no, I've not lost a friend. Lard, $2. Did you get the joke? The square root of 69 being 8? No, it's not 8. Square root of 64 is 8. This is 8 point something. Is that what it is? 8 something? It's 8. The square root is 8 something. Now I get it. I was too literal in my math. 8 something. I get it. Now I got it. Someone explained it to me. Thank you. All right, there you guys go. Ladies, if you were interested in actually succeeding in life, you can go read some of my books, Bachelor Pad Economics being one of them. Get your financial shit together. I do have men available. I've set up 2 people successfully, 2 girls successfully. Nobody's married, but no one's going to get married. I've just know quality men. If you would like to, you know what? I'm going to charge you a fee. You all be paying these online dating companies and all that. Now I'm going to charge a fee. If you would like, ladies, I will set you up with a man. for a fee. Otherwise, just follow my advice on the helping women out hour. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.
a PLE called Elimination Chamber. We thought he was going heel. We thought he was joining the final boss, The Rock, all the way down to being at Survivor Series. And now John Cena's getting hit with the Pop Rocks by Roxanne Perez, out of all people. I never thought in a million years I would see John Cena last time ever on a PLE and in a DV. Oh, Bobby Monsoon, what's the DV? Domestic violence! I cannot believe this. Raquel Rodriguez hit you with the choke slam. Roxanne Perez hit you with the Pop Rocks. Liv Morgan kicked you in the nuts. My God, the last time I seen a woman bully a man this bad, it was on the movie Next Friday. Y'all remember Day Day and Baby D? Now, if that wasn't bad enough, Paul Levesque goes on this post show and he has this sentiment of how this was the greatest PLE of 2025. Now, this from a parody account, so he didn't say these words directly, but this was basically his sentiment on the post show. I feel like this was the greatest PLE in 2025. Nothing else comes closer. Banger after banger. What? Look at Joe Tessitore. His face is in complete disbelief. I guarantee when his contract is up, he'll be heading his ass back to ESPN permanently. Dog, it seems like to be the head of creative at WWE, you gotta have three qualities for sure. You gotta be blind, deaf, and stupid to be able to get a job at the front desk. Oh, but maybe he thought PLE meant three other things. Pathetic, lame, and an embarrassment. Cause if you using them acronyms, Paul Levesque, I agree with you 100%. When we talking about 2025 Survivor Series, it's reminding me of of one of my favorite BBWs after Thanksgiving dinner. It took the cake. This was one of the worst. Nah, this was the worst. PLE of 2025 is not even close. Now, there's some people out there that's actually smart enough to not sit through the agony, the torture of watching a full WWE show or PLE or anything like that. People actually watch the highlights. But if you're like me, unfortunately, you're not part of these people, and you actually watch this stupid ass show from front to back, you know you see sponsor, 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 ads, 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 and it's like unbearable at this point, man. It kind of got me thinking of that old Big Sean song back in the day with Nicki Minaj. Hey, producer, run that back for us. Ads, 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 stop! You're killing me! Now, at the end of the men's War Games match, you had a surprise. This dude come out all black, black ski mask. A lot of people are speculating it could be Austin Theory. Some others are speculating it could be Y2J or even Seth Rollins, man. I don't really know, and I quite frankly don't care. Honestly, the only thing I'm trying to figure out is, does WWE really think? People trying to figure out who's this guy in a black mask. It's gonna help TKO get out of $3 billion of all. Who's the dude wearing all black? I don't know. Let me call a plumber. My tallest clog. This shit is all crap. Does WWE really think? I'm trying to have people figure out who's this guy in the black mask. It's gonna help TKO get out of $3 billion of all. It ain't gonna help him get out of it all. The $3 billion of debt. This ad is brought to you by the Pirates in the chat. Go to BobbyMonsoon.com. Get your Ruthless Depression era t-shirt. If you're sick of the BS in professional wrestling, if you're sick of the soulless billionaires taking advantage of the fans, show them you had enough. Go to BobbyMonsoon.com. Get the Ruthless Depression era t-shirt. Then, now, and never again. Now, Snore War Games started off with the women's match, and I just refuse to call this a War Games match. This is the most PG crap I've seen in so long. And I said this on my live, I'll say it now. If you've seen AEW Blood and Guts, this was day and night. The women in AEW put so much more effort, so much more just entertainment into their match. And it's not even about the blood and all of that. It's just the effort into the match was so much. So many spots we haven't seen before. Opposed to the women in WWE, there's some great women in this match, but the problem is WWE Creative, WWE Corporate just keep these women handcuffed. They could barely do anything. Lash Legend is the only woman believable in this match, dog. I think Lash Legend did good. She might gotta change her theme music, but outside of that, Lash Legend, her whole makeup is like fire. I really enjoyed what she did in this match. Outside of that, everything was absolute trash. Oh yeah, one more thing. Oh, Nia Jax, your boy Bobby Masu love the BBWs. Nia Jax had on the pink and white. Shout out Nia Jax. I didn't see no crazy spots or anything from her, so you know what I mean, I'll take that. And yeah, this match was just so bad. Everybody's putting over Io Sky doing the same spot 100,000 times. Every year she does this same spot off the cage, and at this point it's just redundant, it's boring, we don't want to see it no more. My God, they all stand there and look at Io Sky as she taunts and as she's about to go flip. Nobody moves. If everybody moved out the way, that would have been so fire. Nobody moves out the way. They basically catch her. The Kabuki Warriors don't even get hit by the trash can in Io Sky. They still fall just by Io Sky air. I guess the aura made the Kabuki Warriors fall. This match was a circus act. It was a joke. It's an embarrassment to women's wrestling. Women's wrestling could be 100 times better than any of this. It's sad, dog. Next, you got Dominic Mysterio versus John Cena. Just a straight spit in the face to John Cena legacy. John Cena career. I know he says he doesn't book this stuff, but at a certain point, you gotta speak up for yourself. Well, it's too late now. You got one more match, and I highly doubt we'll ever see John Cena in any capacity with WWE again. I will be surprised if we do. I cannot believe we see John Cena, his final match on PLE, get choke slammed, kicked in the nuts, and he jobbed to a Pop Rocks. He actually was selling this crap. Dominic Mysterio retains the title, and it's just like the Intercontinental title just means absolutely nothing, dog. He was doing nothing with the title. Now we just had him lose to John Cena just to put the title back on him. It's like, oh my God, dog. The Intercontinental title should have left with John Cena. There is no storyline. There is no build. The Intercontinental title hasn't felt special since Gunther went on that big reign where he lost it to Sami Zayn in WrestleMania 40. This title is a joke. John Cena's last match to a lot of us was when he went against AJ Styles at Trash in Paris. That was his last match to a lot of us, dog. This last PLE match is just like, it's not it. Then you got the Last Time Is Now tournament, which should be a guaranteed snooze fest. Look at this, y'all. This whole year, these are all John Cena's opponents. Not one person actually benefited from this. Okay, maybe Dominic Mysterio. Outside of that, who actually benefited from John Cena's last year? This was a perfect opportunity to put new talent over. WWE refused to do it. They are lost as a company, can't curate stars. This is sad. Then you got the return of Liv Morgan. It's good to see Liv Morgan back and healthy, but I don't care about that either, dog. Liv Morgan should have came back and became a babyface. Now she's coming back just to continue the same stupid, stale storyline that was going on when she left. We was getting sick of it when she left. She comes back and just continue that on. Oh my God, dog. This PLE was one of the worst all year, if not the worst. After that, you got a bathroom break. Stephanie Valkyrie versus You Could Look, But You Can't Touch. Do. All this match was boring as fuck. Nikki Bella, of course, loses. Stephanie Valkyrie, this does nothing for her career. You got 4 matches on this card. How do you even have time for filler? With a roster like you got Paul Levesque! Lazy Levesque still wants to squeeze a little bit of filler in there for us.
And it's the same.
4 matches, we supposed to be getting 4 bangers. Dog, this match sucked. I barely watched it. I'll be sitting here lying to you, telling you that, oh, I was locked in with this match. I wasn't. Last, you got the men's War Games match. I spoke about a lot of that in the beginning of the video. You got a mystery person. It's probably Austin Theory. Austin Theory gets buried before he even gets a chance to even do anything. Because when people say Austin Theory, and we already heard Austin Theory 1,000 times, the news will be underwhelming. And that will be the beginning of Austin Theory burial deep into 2026. So great job. You got Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul. They go over. It means nothing. What do you do at Monday? Nobody's going to be beefing because they had nothing to beef about to begin with. So when Raw on Netflix come on, everybody's just sitting there holding mics talking about nothing. This was the worst War Games of all time, dog. Snore Games was supposed to be a PLE where it was just like, all right, I know I'm gonna just kick back and relax. This is boring. I'm gonna go to sleep. No surprises, no. But it was so frustrated. I couldn't actually sleep. I never thought in a million years John Cena be getting beat up by women in his last PLE. I never thought in a million years they'll have a return, but the bull wear all black and a black mask and never reveal itself. It's just like, oh my God, you got it. I'm just not this stupid to come up with some of these booking concepts. 2026 is just looking like a bad year if you're looking to be entertained with WWE. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about Snore Games, man. What a way to end off the year. Like, let me know in the comments, what was the best PLE of the year? It had to be Trash in Paris. And that, yeah, I think Trash in Paris might have been the best PLE of the year. Either that or Evolution when it comes to WWE, bro. Like, AEW put on free shows that's better than these premium live events. Blood and Guts probably was better than everything WWE has done all year. This place is a shit show. It's a circus, and dog. Oh man, I'm dreading 2026, man. Seriously. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about that, man. I'll see y'all on Raw on Netflix. I'm telling y'all right now, whoever was the guy, don't look for the guy to reveal himself on Raw on Netflix. I guarantee it's not happening. They're gonna stretch this out 3 weeks. Everything gets stretched out 3 weeks. I guarantee they won't reveal it at Raw on Netflix. I hope I get proved wrong. Trust me. Let me know in the comments what y'all think about that, man. It's Bobby Monsoon 215. Like, comment, subscribe. Bah! 17-time world
Okay, I'm not too sure what to call this video or where I'm going to go with it. It could be long, extremely long, could be short, who knows. But I just know that I need to talk about a few things here, okay? And this is all related to Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, blah, 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 okay? So let's just sit back, relax, and have a casual conversation, okay, about this stuff, all right? So, some of you guys have come out and asked me, where's the Morrowind videos? I'm only one person. I only have so much energy. I can only do so much. So, I plan on getting around to it eventually. You know, what I might do just to sate the appetite of those that are impatient is just do, you know, sort of like a little mini review thing or something like that. It's something, you know, something to throw out there, like, you know, the beginning of a Let's Play or something like that, you know. And maybe I'll talk about the differences between Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim, so you understand where I'm coming from, context-wise. Because Morrowind is a completely different, like, extremely different than...
Because
eye
protection for
eye.
Let's move on to the
than
fasteners themselves.
anything
But you want to
you've
make
ever
next
seen
thing you're going to want to
in
do
the Elder Scrolls
is you want to
franchise. Remember,
install
the first
your
3
load.
games were based off of
You
an
always
RPG
want to
system.
do it.
So
What
first
you
I
will
want to
do
talk about
is you
Skyrim.
will hold
Someone
the
asked
tool
me,
firmly
how many
with the
times have you
handle.
beaten the game?
Now, if you come up at the top
Does that matter?
and the camera person,
when-
I've already inspected it, so I know that
What
it's
kind of comment is
operational.
that? Like, you
Now
know,
what I'm
what
going to
kind of
do
ability it was.
is
So
I'm going
I
to
kinda
load
like, just,
my nail.
you know,
All
shrug
right,
it off and
my
I just
nail
went
is in.
once, you know, like,
Now
I
I'm
really
going
don't
to
care
extend
about beating games.
the barrel,
I care about
and there
having
we go.
fun.
That's where I'm going to place
And for
the
you
load.
guys, I wanted to do something nice for you.
So I'm going to push down
know,
on it,
This shows
pushed
you how
it down,
privileged some
all
people
right?
are on this channel.
and now I'm
right?
going to
Okay.
strike it firmly on
It
top.
shows you that they have privilege. They really do. Because, not privilege, so entitlement. That's it. They're entitled, right? Okay. That's it, entitled. There's a lot of entitlement kicking around out there, you know. And the thing is,
You know, this is really a
why
great
I
tool.
keep restarting
Not a whole
Skyrim
lot of
over and
options
over and
out there
over
for driving nails
is because I come up
into
with more and more
concrete, right?
classes
This is a great tool.
and more different
And what
ways
I will
of
say
you
is
guys
this:
to
keep
enjoy
yourself
the game.
safe. Read that instruction.
So I
manual,
create all
okay?
these different,
no
what I call
reason
builds,
why
like our wording may be different, but the context is the same. Understand this, okay? So I make builds. So I'll make a video to a certain point, and then I'll stop, you know? And then I'll come up with another one.
In this video, I'm going to show you how you...
And I'll come up with another
So I just got a regular hammer right here, and this fastener, they're called grip right fasteners, and they're actually labeled THS fluted masonry nails. I don't know if you can see that right here. I just bought a box of them. I actually bought a couple sizes to mess around with them. These are actually 2-inch fluted nails right here, and then I actually got some shorter ones that are actually a inch and a quarter right there. And they're called fluted nails, and they look pretty much like a normal nail, but the diameter of them is a little bit bigger, and they are fluted, like the box says. It's fluted, and the tip is a little bit pointier. And I was kind of curious, is like these things have just got to bend when you start hammering them in there. But I'll show you how easy this is all actually concrete right here. We've got some just texture over the top of it, but this is block right behind here. And that's how easy that thing nails right into that concrete. I can't even pull that thing out now that easy. Those things will hold a lot of weight. So I got different types. I got
how are you going to survive? How are you going to, you know, get past all this? How are you going to survive the island, right? That's literally what it's about. You're in prison because you're the most horrible person. Look at my, you know, and I revised it for 2025, and now we're in 2026, right? Okay, so late 2025 is when I revised it because someone showed interest in it. So I come up with all these different ways for you to play Skyrim because it's boring. It really is. It's so vanilla, it's not even funny. And I really laugh hysterically at the notion that Skyrim is the best RPG that Bethesda ever made. No, it's the worst, actually. It shows you how bad the company's getting. Because then they came out with Starfield, which was after, let's point this out now, after Skyrim, okay. And look at how bad that was, even how watered down that was. They didn't even have all the armor types that you got in Skyrim. They gave you 2 types, a bodysuit and a helmet. That's it. That's your armor. You see how small thinking they are? They're actually getting worse as a company. The reason why they're getting worse is because they're too big as a company. And you know, when they were an indie company, they produced awesome stuff. Arena, Daggerfall, which is still the best game they ever made. Okay, just look at the scope of Daggerfall. That's friggin' amazing. Because it's a freeware game, you can actually go to Bethesda and download it onto your PC and play it right now. Literally, the only way to play it is on PC. I don't even think you can map a controller to it because you have to use and I'm terrible at that. The whole WSD thing. I can't do that stuff. I need a controller in my hands. I'm not good at the keyboard. But it's amazing what Daggerfall is like. Okay. Then you look at Morrowind, which was the very first one to come over to console. That was freaking amazing. That was mind blowing what they did there, right? Okay. And you see how the first three games were all RNG systems. They were all about building these big immersive experiences, an open world where it wasn't boring, where there was always something over the next mountain. Is like, what's over that, or what's over the hill, or what's here, what's there. You always bumped across something, into the company they are now, where they have barren areas where there is nothing. You go and run around Skyrim even, and you'll still bump into stuff all over the place, even out in the wild, stuff that's not on your map. Stuff that you can't fast travel to. This is something you find out in the wild. Like I found this sacrificial altar thingy that looked like it was some sort of sexual sacrifice, So it shows you how watered down the game's getting, because we used to have spell building. We don't now. Don't tell me you can't do that in Skyrim. Of course you can. You look at the modding community, okay? What's the modding community doing? They're taking everything that they loved from Morrowind, Daggerfall, Oblivion, and stuff like that, and putting in there. You want proof? Why is the unicorn there now? That was in Oblivion. They brought it over, okay? Why is there all these different spells? Because they're taking the spells that were in Oblivion and in Morrowind and all these other games and bringing them over, okay? I understand this. They're doing this in a way that doesn't break the game, which shows you that Todd Howard was lying to you. You can't have levitation spells. Yes, you can. This is as long as you stick within the perimeters of how high up they allow you to go. So as long as you don't go outside the map, basically. You know what I mean? Okay, you won't break it. So that's the whole thing. Like, Todd Howard is lying through his teeth about everything. Okay, because he doesn't know what's going on, because he's owned by Xbox. So he has a boss now that he needs to report to. He's not the boss. People are, Todd Howard is not the same person he used to be. Okay. So that's why I come down hard on Skyrim, because it's not the best at all. They took away your classes. They took away your ability to make spells. Yes, you should be able to make spells. Why can't you? If the spell is in the game and it exists in the game and it's not made by a modder, then why can't you put 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 18 spells together? You can. The reason why you can is because the developers are lazy. They're getting worse. They're not getting better. Okay, and this is not going to get better. It's going to get worse. People are looking at the next Elder Scrolls 6 going, oh, this is going to be absolutely awesome. I'm going to say, be prepared that it's going to be the worst game ever made yet. And Starfield was a good example of that, right? Okay. But this is why I hate on Skyrim. And you have to understand it. It's justified. And when you have to get modders to come in to make your game better, that shows you how pathetic your product really is. And how watered down it is. They brought the unicorn back, right? They made up quests that don't exist, like that one that's in Whiterun where you have to go and meet a dragon or something like that, some down the well or something like that. I tried modding. I suck at it. I'm terrible at it, okay? And that's why I don't do modding, because I can't figure it out on Xbox S how to do it on the Series S, okay? You guys hook me up with somebody who actually knows what they're doing. You find me a load order, you find me one that works, that's stable, and doesn't cause you to crash and won't brick your system. Send me a link to it in the comment section down below, and I'll play it. I'll do the order. I'll do a graphics overhaul. I'll do character creation overhaul, all of it. I'll do it all, like literally all of it, right? But I want quests in that too, and I want my characters to look better, and I want the whole game to look better. I want to modernize it, okay? But on the Series S, and that's a challenge for you guys, because I don't know how to do this. I trusted one person before in the past, and it almost bricked my console. And then I went to someone into PC gaming that I know that I can trust, and he said, Even PC gaming can break, and they can fry your graphics card. So he said, if you put the wrong stuff in your game, and you don't know what you're putting in your game, which obviously you don't, like he's talking to me, I'm talking in third person, right? So I'm talking as if I was him. He goes, you go put that in there, and you don't know what you're putting in there, and you don't understand it, and you don't know the source, if you can trust it or not. Even if other people say you can trust it, doesn't mean you can't. So he pointed it out to me, and he said, look, this is what I did with my PC. I had a $20,000 PC, okay, and it got cooked because of this, right? And he said, no, I can't play it at all. And he said that as a warning to me, because he said, look, when it comes to modding, you need to understand that if you don't know what you're doing, it can wreck your console, and probably will, because consoles are no different than computers. You have a graphics card, you have what was it, audio card, and he mentioned off all the different parts, And he said, look, this is how this can get wrecked, this is how that can get wrecked, this is how that can get wrecked, because then you're overcharging the system, and that's what they call frying the graphics card, for example, because you're doing something that it's not capable of, right? So if you don't understand the capabilities of your graphics card, for example, and you put in something that's graphically more powered than that, then you're in trouble. So if you do a Lord order for the Xbox Series X and you put it on your S, it will destroy your S, because the graphics will just be too intense for it to handle, for example, right? Okay. And that's where I'm coming from. So I'm not against the modding community. What I don't like is that they don't tell you the order to put things in properly. I see a lot of ones that come out there and go, oh, I stabilized it. This is a stable load order. And then I look in the comment section, I go, has anybody gotten back negatively about this? And the very first comment was, this is, I can confirm without a doubt, this is unstable. This is not stable. And you should see all the thumbs up on that comment. That makes me weary of modding. Do you understand now? Okay? Because I go and trust these people that they know what they're talking about. Looks like they know what they're talking about in their videos. They say it's stabilized. They show you it working perfectly fine. They don't tell you about the challenges. Okay? Now I'm all for modding the game if it's not going to cause my game to slow in frame rates per second, if it's not going to cause it to crash, if it's not going to fry the graphics card or any other part of it. Because why would I want to ruin my console just to make it look good? Because then I can't play the game at all then, right? If it's broken. You see where I'm coming from? So if you guys know a really good modder, and you know a YouTube video that I can go to get a proper Lord order and the order it's in, I'll gladly do that. Not a problem. Guys, I'm very easy to work with. You just need to understand you're working with a dinosaur here, okay? You can teach an old dog new tricks, but you got to be patient with that dog. You know what I mean? Okay. So that's the thing there. So that's me just addressing the modding. But we can see, looking at the mods out there, okay, that Bethesda has really dropped the ball with Skyrim, okay? And when you go and you look at the last game that came out before, I'm talking about the single player experience only here, okay? When you look at the game before the one that came out of Skyrim, what was it? Oblivion. What did we have? We still had spell making, right? Look at how they did enchantments. We still had classes. We had a character sheet. Let's just do it that way. I mean, that'll cut a lot in. That'll cut a lot of my work right there, okay? Without me over-explaining, we had a character sheet. So we could pick our specialty, our attributes, and our skills. And then that would define our character when we pick our race. So when we pick a race that's beneficial to us for what we're going to specialize in, magic, combat, or stealth, you get the idea, okay? All right? So, there's a lot missing in Skyrim. You don't have the character sheets, so therefore you don't have all these different classes. So therefore, you know, it's incredibly watered down that way, okay? You don't have the spells. You don't have creating your own spells, which let's say is freaking awesome. When you get into that stuff, you go deep into it. It is freaking fun as heck, right? Okay, if you got enough money, if you got the magicka to do it, you can do it. Literally in Oblivion, you can do it. Okay, no modding. I'm talking strictly vanilla. Okay. All right. So when we look at the vanilla Oblivion and we put it up against Skyrim, there's no contest. Oblivion kicks butt on Skyrim massively. And then we could do the same with Morrowind, and Morrowind kicks butt on Oblivion. And then you could do Daggerfall, which is the pinnacle of the whole series, and it kicks butt on Morrowind. Why? Because they cut out stuff that was in Daggerfall so that it could work on the console, you see. And that's when things started to get watered down, was when they shifted over to console. And I can forgive them of that because of the limitations of the console. But I understand the console was higher than the best gaming PC at the time in the 2000s. Remember that. When the Xbox first came out, it was OP to the highest gaming PC by design and on purpose. They wanted that to be that because they wanted to show off how great the Xbox was. This is when Bill Gates was in charge of the company. He did phenomenal. I'll say that right now. Everybody bought an Xbox. Nowadays, it's like, why are you guys even out there? You know, I can't stand the brand, you know, to be honest with you. I can't stand gaming at all now. You know, it's just sickening what they've done with all the companies out there. Even Sony, how pathetic they are. You know, you go to the PS3 and you realize you got the PS1, PS2 built into it, and you had online for free. And then all of a sudden they got greedy, and you see the changes even with Sony. And you see how they become woke and everything else and ideology, and you get the idea. Only they can break the rules. No one else can, right? And that's true, because you look at The Last of Us Part 2 and look at what they did with that, and then other companies go to do the same thing, and they go, you can't do that. We won't allow that on our console because we don't allow that stuff there, but yet they can do it. They're hypocrites, you know, Sony is. Same thing with Microsoft. So anyway, to carry on. So that's the problems with Skyrim. And then when you go back to Oblivion, you realize they still cared about the world that they were building, that they were crafting. You look at the quests, you look at the uniqueness of the quests. I mean, you walk into someone's friggin' mind and you actually become part of their nightmare. You become a part of it. And you have no armor, no weapons, nothing. Like you are butt naked going in there. You know what I mean? If you guys played Oblivion, you know what I'm talking about. Not the remake and the remaster, because that is not Oblivion. That's not even close to being Oblivion. They changed way too much. The only thing they didn't change was the story. That's it. Everything else they changed. They overhauled the whole thing. It's ridiculous. So you need to play the OG one. And this is why I'm still playing it. I got to go back to doing my hand-to-hand build. You know, I'm thinking about opening up the Oblivion gates and that. And that's another thing too, when it comes to my Let's Plays videos, why do I say part 1, 2, 3, 4, etc.? Because how am I supposed to remember when I'm loading, like, you know, 10 videos onto my camera there, which is 10 hours of videos? How the heck am I supposed to remember what I did in that part or this part or that part? I'm going to rewatch the whole thing all over again? I don't think so. You know, that's up to you to watch the video, okay? And if you don't have the time or the patience, then the video's not for you. That's the bottom line. If you're not going to put the time into it, then you're just not going to have fun enjoying the video. Because I get into some epic stuff. I do boring things and I do epic things. And you just don't know what's going to happen, because I don't know what's going to happen until I go there and find out, you know? This is that simple. I roam. I play my games way differently than you guys do. You guys follow quest markers. I follow my curiosity. I go, what's over that hill? Ooh, I see a symbol on my HUD. I wonder what that is. You know what I mean? I'm going to go walk towards that and see what that is. Kind of curious. What is that, you know? It's over the horizon over there. I want to check that out. How far away is that, right? You know? And I go and I wander. And I explore, and I walk into dungeons without knowing it. They could be quests that I don't even know about, and I could be ruining my quests, but that's part of the fun. So that's what I love about Oblivion. That's what I love about Morrowind, is that you can break your quest and not even know it. And the game will adapt to it. That's the beautiful thing. You know, you could actually bump into a den, right? Okay. Or a cave or whatever, and do the wrong thing by slaughtering everybody when you should be freeing them, for example, okay? All right. And then all of a sudden it pops up as a quest. You're like, oh, I really messed that up, you know? But it finds a way around it. That's how smart they made the games. Like, you look at Morrowind, they really did that big time, right? And you can see it being injected into Oblivion, but you don't see it in Skyrim, right? You know, that's a big problem, right? They got NPCs in Skyrim that you cannot kill that are vital NPCs. You know what's funny? Is that you got vital NPCs in Morrowind that are, and everybody is killable in Morrowind. Every single person, no matter how vital they are, including the last quest giver, is killable. Yeah, you could kill the head of the Fighters Guild, and you just messed up the Fighters Guild quest line because, well, you killed off the head of it. You know what I mean? You cut off the head of the snake, you buggers. Hold up. So you can do that. Absolutely. You can even do it to an extent in Oblivion, you know? But Skyrim, oh no, we're going to make certain NPCs not killable. What they didn't realize is that there's legendary difficulty, and if I tell that guy to go and attack that group over there, you know, some of those non-killable NPCs become killable. So these are just some things that I've noticed. This is why I decided, okay, to do Let's Play videos, is to show you different classes that you can make in the game and give you a whole different way of playing it. You know what the problem is with Skyrim players? A lot of problems actually with Skyrim players is that they defend it saying it's the best game ever, and yet they've never played the older stuff or understand it. And then they go out there and they all become the same thing, stealth archers. You know something? I never heard of a stealth archer. I never did a stealth archer. I played the way I played Oblivion and Morrowind. I made my own classes. I made them up, and I go and I put restrictions when I stepped into Skyrim. I go, oh great, so it's just a universal build. So there is no character sheets. So I made character sheets. I made backgrounds to my characters. You guys want to know my characters? I made Kilroy, who's a cleric. You know, it's someone that I did way back in the D&D days, TSR, in 1970s, okay? Someone that I've always done, okay? Lawful good. I even came up with alignments and stuff, you know what I mean? Which tells you what you can and cannot do, you know what I mean? So when you add in restrictions, it's actually beneficial, you know what I mean? It makes your game a lot more fun to play. And that's the problem nowadays, because what you guys end up doing is the same thing over and over again, unfortunately. And by doing the same thing over and over again, it becomes boring, absolutely, because you've done everything. You see, the problem with Skyrim 2 is that they got what's called legendary mode, right? And what I mean by this is you can reset your perks and your skill tree. So when you get to 100 and you put all the perks into it that you can, you get those all back when you reset it, okay, by pressing a triangle or Y button on a controller. And bam, now it's reset back to its base value. And now you can do it all over again and over and over and over until you got all the perks, and your universal build is now everyone. Well, no wonder you're bored, you know, because you don't have a character sheet. So what do? I go out and I make builds for you, okay? I go, hey guys, here's Sirana right now. And that happens to be one of my most popular ones right now, because you guys are simping on her, man. And then you guys call me out, you guys go, dude, you made her for yourself, didn't you? I'm like, shh, don't tell anybody. Don't say that too loud. I don't want anybody to know. Oh yeah, I don't like her. Dang. She's pretty cute for a video game character. Oh, anime, eh? I gotta look more into this. Anyway, you get the idea. I'm just messing with you. Not bad for a video game that was made in 2011. Damn, she's hot. I'm gonna bug you guys in a video. I'm gonna do like, I'm gonna punk you guys. I'm gonna like do a video where I'm just going to ogle her. I'm going to sexualize her massively. I am going to go against all the norms of this society because I don't believe in these as being norms. And I am going to sexualize her. I am going to talk about perverted stuff about her. I am going to make you so horny, you're going to pop wet and go, damn, if that was a female voice, I'd be cooked. I'd be like, oh man, this is hot stuff. Stop it, Panic. You're killing us here, man. Stop it. Now, I just might even look into modifying my voice because there's voice software out there. Ooh, free. Where I can feminize my voice into being sexy and sultry or dominant and aggressive. How do you like it? Rough? Ooh, you're a simp, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, you're a mama's boy. You're like one of those guys out there that are like secretly way down deep inside. You're like, I want her to dominate me. That's what you want, right? You want Serena to give you a hickey. That's what you want. You're like, oh man. Ooh, man. Oh man, I couldn't say no to her. I don't want to become a vampire, but I couldn't say no to her. I couldn't say no, guys. I'm weak. I'm weak. My flesh is weak. I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner. Oh man, save my soul, God. He will. He does. In the end, through Jesus Christ. Literally, he does. And I get that too, People push back at me and they go, what does God have to do with a video game? And I go, well, isn't your soul worth saving? Valid point. Let me ask you something. Do you go to church to save people? No, right? Where do you go? Where the sinners are. Well, hello. What's the biggest community out there? Video gamers. We rock. So don't you think your soul is worth saving? Don't you think, like it does say in the Bible that the Bible's going to be preached from corner to corner, right?
Getting a bunch of items, but two important ones, one of which is an absolute favorite of mine. Now, the secretive manner in which they are hidden also gets my magic staff fully charged and ready for action. So during the main quest line, we'll end up on the quest called Bruma Gate, in which we'll have to go into the Oblivion Gate that opens up outside the city walls of, you guessed it, Bruma. We need to go in, do our thing, and close the Oblivion Gate. After we do this, we'll get an optional side quest called Allies for Bruma, in which Oblivion Gates open up outside all of the major cities and must be closed to gain reinforcements from each particular city's guard to help in the fight against the Great Gate that opens up later on in the questline. But for us, we'll be heading to the stony and quaintly seductive city of Coral, wedged between the Great Forest to the east and the Colovian Highlands to the west, intersected by the Black Road, probably one of the most aesthetic areas of Cyrodiil. Once here and on this quest, as you'd expect, there is an Oblivion Gate that has opened up right outside the city walls and farmsteads of Coral. Of course, we'll need to enter the gaping portal of rippling and raging flame to the Dreadlands, Mehrunes Dagon's realm of oblivion. Inside, we will find what is the most complicated series of towers and puzzles to be overcome by the hero of Kvatch inside any Oblivion Gate. This layout has a chance to be randomly generated for any of the tertiary Oblivion Gates, but only guaranteed for the Coral Gate, hence why we came here. Now, there are 6 outer towers that go by the names of Eruption, Landslide, Tsunami, Tornado, Earthquake, and Hurricane. Then we have the 7th Central Tower, which is called Portals of Natural Disaster. Now, despite all 7 of these towers being interconnected, complexly layered, and having a sense of fortune and glory to them, we actually don't want to go into any of them. What we want is much more hidden, secretive, and only for the brave explorer to discover, as there is an 8th tower, a secret sunken tower called the Embers of Hatred. This is in fact the very same tower that stands directly behind the Oblivion Gate that we came through. Now, finding the actual tower is not hard at all. It's right there, it's obvious. But knowing that it's an accessible tower is impossible, the entrance to which is occult and far-flung to say the least. So, instead of heading to the 7 towers of Captain Planet members, hurricane, earthquake, eruption, all that jazz, we'll actually want to turn around and head in the completely opposite direction, wandering aimlessly and bravely into the effete and uncharted fringes of the Dreadlands. Skipping across small magma-bound atolls, leaping over blistering seas of lava. We'll soon find an old and half-drowned citadel gate that we'll need to use as a bridge to reach a barren, mine-covered finger stretching out into the red abyss, with no sign of anything but a rather roasty and lonely death. But this is the trick. We'll need to go all the way to the furthest end of this small island and jump down onto a tiny spit of land, with an ocean of pyroclastic liquid lapping at our very toes. Here, we'll find something rather unexpected, a door, a hidden door on the edge of oblivion. Now this door is even more hidden than you may think, as if we take a look at the local map, it doesn't even have its own map marker, so there's no way to find it other than luck mixed with seemingly pointless exploration. Now this unmarked, forgotten doorway leads to a tunnel system known as the Fume Vaults, a claustrophobic series of twisted and marbled obsidian passageways filled with the vile Daedra in all of their corrupted varieties. On the ground there are out-of-sight pits that will eat you whole, and a sickly red mist that flirts ambiguously between caustic volcanic gases and a plagued blood haze. Overall, the Fume Vaults are an extremely unpleasant place to be. Now, while passing through these demonic bowels of oblivion, we'll find a door that leads deeper into the hellscape. This will take us somewhere damned. When we enter, to put it lightly, it's not welcoming. This citadel of suffering is the secret 8th tower, the Embers of Hatred, a tilted, twisted, forgotten, woeful spire of sin and punishment, curling up into the higher reaches of the barbed steeple of further secrets that we'll explore. But first, we have 2 obstacles in the way, as there are 2 unique Dremora to welcome us, with unsheathed weapons and blazing pitch ember eyes. These Dremora share the same name and are only found in this cell. They are known as Dremora Hatred Keepers. Both of them must be killed, as they each
has come for global extinction. The one and only, definitive, ultimate, complete Dungeons 3! With every single expansion. So prove your wickedness once and for all. Create the deadliest dungeons. Assault the overworld and face these fierce and fluffy foes with ferocious force. The Paladin, the fairy tale granny, the queen of the forest, the goddess herself, and the narrator! Not me. Too much for you to handle? Grab a friend and tag team the good out of this world! Let's get ready for the World New Rumble!
scared of rap game, but my fans knew it. Don't get scared, nah. Tell the people they been sleeping. I been counting big. Now that shit get scared, niggas creeping. You could better leg now. What they do, they just sleep in. I turned in a band, boy, that bitch stay on my head. Nigga, boo, 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 boo. Hop out. Boo, 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 boo. Hop out. Nigga, boo, don't watch me dance, man. I try to sneak a scared of rap game, but my fans know.
Working on a 2025 Ford F-150, and this guy's getting a leveling kit installed, but I just couldn't believe how annoying Fords are. And I saw something about the Ford CEO coming out saying the reason, well, most dealerships are struggling is because they don't have any good mechanics around. And it seems like something is lost on him about, you know, the reason why. And just working on a brand new truck, I can tell you exactly why you don't have any mechanics at your dealerships. Because if you look at the way they design stuff at Ford, and I mean, I'm a Chevy guy, but this is just absurd. I mean, you got a 2025 F-150 that you can't get these, in order to get these struts out, look at all the shit you gotta take off. You gotta take the upper control arm off. You gotta take the fucking tie rod off. You gotta take the CV axle out. You gotta take all this extra stuff out. You gotta make sure you're not gonna break any of this shit. You gotta take all these off, and just to pry down on it and stress your lower ball joint, stress all this shit just to get this out. And might I add, who puts studs on your struts? This would be so much easier. You just put a bolt there.
Today I'm demonstrating for you a barbell row variation called the Yates row, but I think all rows are good, and I think rows in general, whether it's with a barbell or a dumbbell, are the best way to develop just overall back thickness, and you really can't go wrong with them. The main thing is getting that stretch at the bottom. If you get that, usually you're good to go.
And absolutely no. A lot of people do this to get it started, a lot of body lifting, creating momentum. You don't want to have any momentum while the muscles to move the weight. So from here, into the weight, back down again. There's a bit more of power movement, so.
This is Laura from Africa, aka Rogan Osrine, and in today's video,
Recently, WWE fans have been on the edge of their seats. We've been wondering, do we have a new storyline on the horizon? Maybe even a new faction that's forming? Nah, all we got is some booking that stinks worse than my feet after walking around all day in my sneaks with no socks. Say pile of that! Bro, if you don't stop with these mystery videos, I'm going to snap! I'm trying to watch Raw or SmackDown, not Scooby-Doo, you idiot! Triple H don't know what he wants to be or what hat he wants to put on. First, he starts off as a wrestler, right? Next, he's WWE head of creative. And now I'm guessing he's Inspector Gadget? God, I can't believe they got me again. They had me hype. I'm really trying to figure out, damn, bro, who about to come back? Did they figure it out with Andrade? Maybe Austin Theory, maybe Chris Jericho. Man, I'm thinking this is about
Video I'm going to be talking about. Modern society has nothing to offer you. You know, I could just make this video simple and short and say, this society is going to make it to where you're never fulfilled. Human relationships are useless nowadays, and no matter how hard you work, you won't ever be successful as you think you should be. And that could be the end of the video, but I'm gonna go into detail, you know, about why this society is so degenerate as I usually do. So let's get into today's video. Now, when you look at how degenerate people's behaviors are, you start to understand that there is something very repulsive and draining about being around the majority of human beings nowadays. You know, you could go from being in an all right good mood to where you're able to be stable in the world and actually navigate throughout your daily life, but then you come across some person who wants to start troubles with you. They want to have some type of quarrel with you for no reason, and this is all out of spite for their own ignorant entertainment. And it's all because on the inside, these people are hurt and damaged, and they're wicked people also. And this is another thing. The corruption has increased in the human psyche to where we cannot ignore it anymore. You see, human interaction is mostly going to come down to how little and mundane the characteristics of life you have in common with that person, such as economic goals, the person that you might see as a love interest, the philosophy you have on politics. That's all it comes down to, and these are just such surface level things that really don't gain any type of real insight on what is going on in today's world. You know, a lot of people like us, especially the men in this community, we are just fed up with a society that keeps telling us to tolerate nonsense and do nothing about it. It is time for us to stand against this and quit this society as a whole, because this society has nothing to offer you. Even regardless if you're an everyday person, you really aren't going to get anything out of conducting yourself in this world to the highest degree, because you see all the people that are twisted, all the people that are malevolent. These are the people that are always going to succeed. The people that are doing all of the dark handling in the background, they're setting up all these scenarios for people to have more difficulty. These are the people that are going to thrive in life most likely. And meanwhile, the decent, honest, working, everyday person, people such as ourselves, we don't get anything that is actually going to satisfy us. And this is where you have to learn to accept that you're going to be unsatisfied for the rest of your life mostly. Because you may have a few days to where you can get through life, you feel pretty good. You have some spikes there of euphoria, but overall, it's just going to be major lows and going through the whole woodworks of despair that you have to work around every day. And no one likes to talk about this because it crushes the whole gimmick of fake it till you make it, or go with the flow. People who say any of these two things to you, these are fake people from the start, and you shouldn't listen to anything they say, because these are people who don't believe in being upfront. They don't believe in telling you how it really is, because once you do that, that is when all the lies start to depart from the stabilization of this social market that we're living in. Because if you look at today's world, there is really no difference in how humans conducted themselves from the dawn of age, from the start of humanity. You see, a lot of these people who started civilizations, they started it to make their own religions. They made their own rules and said, you have to follow this. This should be the societal criteria for if we decide if someone's successful or not. This is how we decide if someone is truly athletic. This is how we decide if someone has real value to the herd of society itself. I mean, what does this tell you about our whole evolution as a species? It's a joke. Because when you look at it for what it is, we build all of these architectures. We do all of these things in life. We go high and just beyond, only to just one day end up passing away from this earth and not remembering a thing. It'll be just like you never were here. And that's the number one thing that modern society wants you to forget. All that you were doing, it is in vain at some point. Because you are going to start to realize how draining every day it feels to just wake up and exist. You know, just being alive is work. I mean, let's call it what it is. Just having to take care of yourself, having to listen to other people, having to go to work and hear the latest gossip, having to go around other people in these social venues who may try to spark up some worthless conversation with you. It's work. And it's the type of work that no one wants to do at all. Who likes working anyway? In a society like this, this is miserable. This is draining. We should not be living like this whatsoever, to where we do not have a set type of lifestyle that we want to live, and we just pursue that wholly with all of our effort. And that should be the end of it. But no. We have to include college debt. We have to include credit card debt. We have to include working 3 or 4 jobs just to survive.
A standard
and pay
Phillips
off
screwdriver
having your
like this
own.
one here is designed to only work on one of these 3 screws. They all look pretty similar. They all look like Phillips head screws, but in fact, only this one is designed to have a Phillips screwdriver used with it. This screw in the middle here is what's called a JIS, or Japanese Industrial Standard screw. One of the ways you can recognize it is by this little dimple, which is kind of hard to see, it's pretty subtle, but this little dimple right here gives it away, at least for certain types of JIS screws. Over here, you'll notice that there's some extra lines in here. This is what's called a posi-drive screw. Now, posi-drive is very common in Europe, and it's used there as well as in a lot of our applications here, like cupboard hinges and things like that here in America, but it uses a totally different drive mechanism than the JIS and then the Phillips. Usually, however, we grab our Phillips screwdriver for all 3. And I'm gonna show you why there is one version of screwdriver that can work well with most all of these screws and do a better job than the Phillips can. Personally, I am definitely not a fan of the slotted screwdriver, or their more commonly known name of flathead. Now, the slotted screwdrivers are great. They've been around forever, but they are difficult to work with. They slide out, and they served a purpose for a long time until better things came along. So the Phillips screwdriver has been around longer than any of these other types that we're going to talk about today, but it had one purpose in mind when it was made. It was used a lot on the Ford assembly line for assembling Model Ts, but more importantly, it was used a lot when assembling airplanes for the war. Now, a lot of these airplanes had aluminum hulls, and with that, they needed to have a certain amount of torque that could be applied. If you apply too much, it would sink the screw in too much and get right through the aluminum, rendering it pretty much useless. Or if you torqued it too much, it might break off the head. So believe it or not, the Phillips screwdriver was actually designed to cam out. It was designed to actually slip the head and start stripping those little inserts in the head of the screw so that it didn't break off or didn't go all the way through too deep. So that is great for that particular application, but for most of the things we use it for today, we want to have control over how much torque is being applied. Unfortunately, here in America, Phillips became the kind of de facto fastener type that we use for just about everything. Now, the good news is, Like I mentioned before, there is a driver that works better, and it works both in the JIS screws that we showed earlier, as well as Phillips screws, and that is the JIS screwdriver. Let's take a look at what that is and why that's important. JIS screwdrivers like this are designed a little bit differently. They look very similar, so you do have to look close to see the differences. Probably the biggest difference is the valley right here in between the wings of the driver. Here on a JIS, it's almost a 90-degree curve here. There's a very small radius right inside here. Whereas if you look at the Phillips, it's this wide valley in here. It's got typically a little bit of an angle to it, at least according to its patent and how they're typically made, but it's much wider. And so these wings protrude out quite a bit further. Look at all the wing space that you have on the JIS versus these little stubby sections on the Phillips. The other thing is typically you're going to have a shallower space from where it starts to bend in to the tip on the JIS than you have on the Phillips. It's a much larger or wider space. So with that, that means that the JIS is going to fit well inside a Phillips, but a Phillips is not going to fit well inside a JIS. Now, if you're wondering, does that even matter? Am I going to encounter a JIS screw? You might be surprised at how common these actually are. Japanese brands are everywhere in America. We use them pretty much every day, especially in our electronics, our vehicles, and all kinds of other things. So the list of things that are made in Japan and will typically use a JIS screw include brands like Toyota, Nissan, Mazda, Sony, Canon, Honda, Panasonic, Nintendo, Nikon, Mitsubishi, Yamaha, and Shimano. And there's quite a few more. Those are just some of the big brands that we're all familiar with. Most of those use a JIS screw. As I mentioned before, a lot of times, helpfully, there is a little dimple here that helps us indicate if this is a JIS or a Phillips. The problem is, as you can see here, it's not always there. Sometimes on a JIS number 1 or 3, or even sometimes on the number 2, that's not there. But if you ever see that little dimple, then you need to recognize that that is in fact a JIS. If you use a Phillips screwdriver with that, it's likely to cam out and slip out, but if you use a JIS, it's going to fit all the way in, and it's going to fit great. Look what happens if you try to use a Phillips screwdriver on a JIS screw. You'll notice that it doesn't sink in all the way and it's not making full contact. So this is definitely going to cause some issues. On the flip side, if you put a JIS screwdriver in there, you can see it makes full contact, it seats properly, and then you're going to be able to handle this just fine. Now let's take a look at a Phillips screw with a JIS screwdriver in it, and you'll see that that one also seats all the way in. One of my favorite things about using JIS screws and screwdrivers is that they actually don't need to be magnetized in order to have the screw hold on to the driver. I'm sure you've had that frustrating experience where you're trying to put a screw on something and then it just keeps falling off. Well, with JIS, it kind of snaps in place on the end of the driver bit, and then you can just drive it from there. So those work really well, whether it's magnetized or not. Earlier in the video, I mentioned Posi-Drive, these guys here with the extra little lines in between the wings. Now that is basically what most countries in Europe are going to use instead of the Phillips, because it solves that same problem. Where Phillips screws tend to cam out and cause problems, JIS solves that for Japan, and Posi-Drive solves that for Europe. Why we don't use more of these here, I'll get to in just a second. Now these little wings on here, they are functional not only to identify what type of screw it is, but also because they have little indents in here. If you look at the fluting in here on the screwdriver, you can see that there's some extra flutes in here that are meant to grab on in between in those valleys. You don't have that carved out valley that we have with Phillips. You have an extra flute there for extra grip. This might remind you of a screw that we're all pretty familiar with, which is the star bit or the Torx. These additional flutes that you have on the Posi-Drive add a lot more grip to it and make it much less likely to be able to cam out. And not only that, but they allow for a great amount of torque to be applied to these fasteners than with Phillips. If you were to head to your local IKEA and pick up a set of screws, you're going to find screws like this, and every single one of these uses Posi-Drive. That's because IKEA is Swedish, and in Sweden, Posi-Drive is the predominant screw. If you have European cup hinges, for example, on your cabinets like so many of us do here in America, take a look and you'll see that little extra plus sign on the screw heads for each one. They're Posi-Drive as well. Next up, did you know that most people who own a cordless drill or an impact driver really have no idea what all the different settings and functions are on their drill, or when to reach for an impact driver and why, let alone what the heck is the difference between a nut driver and a bit extender and a locking bit holder? Nobody teaches us.
Show me the sizzle! Where is the sizzle?
I want my steak to sizzle. When a fine wine hits the tongue, I want it to sit with sizzle. When I watch my entertainment, albeit a movie, a show, an event, I want it to sizzle. In WWE, where is the sizzle? All of these returns and all of these debuts on the first SmackDown of 2026, the first 3-hour show going forward. And none of them mattered. As each return and each debut concluded, there was no sizzle! When you are the head, in this case a chief, of all creativity of a billion-dollar conglomerate company like WWE, but you are genetically not a creative person, you can only hide behind smoke and mirrors for so long. And in 2025, the doofus son-in-law was proven to be a creatively bankrupt individual. So in no way, shape, or form is BC surprised that Helmsley began 2026 hiding behind all of his bells and whistles, cheap pops, and title changes. Trick Williams had an in-ring promo debut. Nothing happened. He has words with Sami Zayn, and then a segment later, backstage, he has words with Raymond Phoenix. You see, Trick Williams debuted with no purpose, no meaning, no direction, no fun, no sizzle. Jordynne Grace announces she's officially on the main roster. Raw, SmackDown, we don't know because Doofus doesn't know. We'll figure that out another time. But we find this out with Jordynne Grace backstage. Backstage, where she has words with Chelsea Green, and then later she has words with Jade Cargill. No purpose, no meaning, no direction. No fun, no sizzle. Randy Orton returns. He RKO's Miz, and then he leaves. No purpose, no meaning, no direction, no fun, no sizzle. Zachary Ryder, Matthew Cardona, one of those names, we'll get it figured out. He beats Kit Wilson. He has his hand raised, and then he leaves. No purpose, no meaning, no direction, no fun, no sizzle. You know, all of these bells and whistles, debuts and returns, and nothing happens, and it's because Helmsley's grand idea is the mere fact that they showed up. Right? That's good enough. That's the discussion. What do you mean I have to have something creative? I'll think of something down the road, down the line. Yes, Randy Orton's been gone for a while. I've had all of this time to think of this impactful, badass way to bring him back, instantly get him cooking. But I got other things I gotta do, right? I gotta do the TV shows and some podcasts, and I gotta show up to Tyrese Halliburton's Pacer game, and I gotta do the Pat McAfee show, and I gotta do the press conference for Saudi. I have to do the commercials and the voiceovers. I have no time to be creative. So what if we just have Randy come back and have him RKO Miz? Yeah, that'll get everybody all hot. Talking about how epic SmackDown was. The mere fact that they showed up is good enough for Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and that's the problem. Instead of having these wrestlers debut or return with purpose, with meaning, with fun, with sizzle, have something for them from the jump. have something for them from the jump. It's one of the biggest distinctions between the old man Vincent Kennedy and the doofus son-in-law. One had a plan when somebody would arrive on the scene. The other had nothing. Just arrive. Do something silly or stupid. Leave. There's the story. When Zeus showed up, it was Hogan's ass on the spot. Jericho arrived, and he and The Rock were off to the races. It didn't matter how big the act was or how small. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, the NWO and WCW. There was a purpose. What a debut! You're not just shocked that they showed up. The storyline, you're instantly captivated. They have a purpose. They have meaning. This whole thing is straight fire, and it's straight sizzle. To something a lot less significant like Nails showing up, but you knew. Meaning, purpose. It was he and it was Boss Man. Nails wasn't showing up to take on the Brooklyn Brawler instantly. At least not first. He wasn't there to take on Bret Hart. There was a purpose. A story was already lined up. Or you do vignettes correctly, like Razor Ramon. Anybody remember Razor Ramon? Forget how Bischoff debuted him so epically. Vince McMahon, the Razor Ramon character, before he even stepped foot into a wrestling ring for WWE. This guy was made. He was a superstar. The vignettes were done so brilliantly. And it was over time. They invested in them. They were creative. They cared about the character and the trajectory and the trajectory of said character. Helmsley can't be bothered. So in one show, he just throws like pitches in a baseball game. He's chucking name after name out there, and I guess I'm supposed to follow in line with all the other geeks and call this a good show. So it's a good show because there was so many debuts and returns. The hell are you doing? What are you setting them all up for? Failure, clearly. What is Matthew Zachary Ryder Cardona doing? He beat Kit Wilson. Whoa! Have him win the Rumble now, right? Put him on the same trajectory as Jason Uso. That's what we need. Why should we care? Why do we care? He beat Kit Wilson. That's what you have this guy show up for. Randy Orton, after months being gone, he comes back to RKO Miz. An RKO that we have seen 1,417 times. Yes, Randy Orton has RKO'd Miz that many times in the last 20 years. And that's how you're beginning 2026. And he just leaves. Tells Cody Rhodes, I'm coming for the title eventually, just so you know, kid. Yeah, that's the face versus face. Could have been done epically a year or two ago. Randy turns heel. You have the legacy implosion, teacher versus student. Diabolical Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. No, just be face versus face. And today's fan will probably want Cody Rhodes to turn heel. Yeah, keep Randy face, have Cody heel. Yeah, that makes about as much sense as having the doofus son-in-law in charge of creative in WWE. Jordan Grace is just backstage. Nick Aldis is like, she's on the main roster. We're trying to get her to SmackDown. She's talking to Chelsea. She's talking to Jade Cargill. Helmsley has a million things going because he can't choose one. He doesn't know what he's doing. So there's Jordan Grace just walking around backstage. What a debut. If you're not going to go the extra mile to make her look and feel special, Why should anybody look at her as such? Are you hoping she just goes out there and has bangers? Because I know there's a percentage of fans that's all they care about. Boy, see the hell, banger! Can't stand that word. Can't stand it. Mello and John Gargano had a banger last night, boy. See, I know. Every single week, whoever's facing each other for the U.S. title, they're going to have bangers. They're going to give them 25 to 30 minutes to have a wrestling exhibition. How's that working in the rating? How does anybody care about that? Is that working out so far? No. Hasn't in 2025. It didn't last night. I'll take storylines and larger-than-life characters over two wrestlers having an exhibition for 25 minutes any day of the week, twice on Sunday. Ryder shows up, beats Kit Wilson. Randy Orton is RKOing Miz. Trick Williams. Trick Williams is having an in-ring promo with Sami Zayn. And then he's backstage having a promo with Raymond Phoenix. It's not, we want to say I like Trick Williams, though I'm just glad he's there, basically. He should win the Royal Rumble, basically. He should already be world champion, basically. Listen, it's not, it doesn't matter if you like him. Right, we like most of these dudes, I'm guessing, right? Mello, Trick, Dragunov. Maybe you like Sami Zayn. Everyone loves Randy. That's not what this is. This is not the channel for that. There's plenty of channels